This episode of The Gaming Outsider is brought to you by eWin Racing, the home of the best heavy-duty gaming chairs. I can tell you from personal experience that I've never sat in a more comfortable chair at my desk. eWin Racing has chairs for gamers of all sizes, too. As a Gaming Outsider listener, you can get 20% off your purchase using our promo code TGO at ewinracing.com. eWin Racing, the best gaming chairs out there.
The name's Nukem, Duke Nukem, and you're listening to The Gaming Outsider. They're an inspiration for birth control. Hail to the king, baby.
What's happening, Go listeners? On this week's episode, Zack, Alyssa, and I are sharing how we would run the Game Awards if we happened to be in charge. In news, some people were disgusted by a pop-up ad in Assassin's Creed Odyssey this week. We got quite a few new games to discuss as well. I played Super Mario RPG on Switch, as well as an upcoming brutally violent gear-gated game called Cookie Cutter. You'll also hear impressions of a game on Switch called Howl, and Zack also checked out Modern Warfare 3. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. We also have a community at facebook.com/groups/thegocast, and even a Discord server, and you can find a link for that in the show notes. But today is Sunday, November 26th. I'm your host, Scott Clark. And joining me are my good friends. First off, Mr. Zack Parkerson. What's up, sir?
It's me, the backup host.
And Alyssa White. How you doing, Alyssa?
Hey, it's me. I'm the backup host.
I just hear Taylor Swift lyrics in my head as soon as everybody says it's me. So I apologize. But...
I'm the problem. It's me.
I don't understand the reference.
It's a Taylor Swift song.
Right.
Hey, it's me.
I'm the problem. It's me.
Yeah,
I don't think I know the song.
I feel like
she's got that one where she sings about Starbucks lovers, right?
I have no idea.
Okay. Long list of ex-lovers.
Star-crossed lovers.
Oh,
Star-crossed.
okay.
Long list of ex... Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like I need a minute after listening to last week's episode. For those of you that this is your first episode and did not listen to last week I got called out because I, quote-unquote, wussed out or whatever.
Yeah, yellow-bellied coward.
Yellow-bellied coward.
Yeah.
Because I did not join the conversation about spoilers, because I'm the one that always, wants us to be cautious of spoilers. And number one, it was not intentional. I did not miss last week because of the topic.
That sounds like somebody who intentionally missed would say.
Yeah,
I really did not. It was kind of a last-minute decision to go to that game, and I was not going to turn it down. So I went to a game with my wife and had a really good time. But if I had been here, what I would have said about spoilers is this. Look, I understand that a lot of the spoilers are common knowledge for everybody. And I think somebody made this comment, one of the listeners, but one of the things that you referenced the Star Wars spoiler about Darth Vader being Luke's father, which like everybody.
Whoa,
everybody
spoilers,
knows
bro!
That. Yeah.
See, you can't just go out like that.
Here's the difference. Is that movies take 2 hours to complete.
Mm-hmm.
And you can complete a movie in a night, right? You can complete the trilogy of Star Wars movies in an evening if you really wanted to. A lot of these games, especially, say, Final Fantasy VII, take scores of hours to get through on sometimes. And there are so many games out there, I don't expect everybody to have played all of those games. Just because we're gamers doesn't mean we don't have a plan to play a game at some point. Maybe RPGs are not in somebody's wheelhouse, and giving a spoiler like that would make them not want to play that game. If they know that spoiler, if that's like the big twist, even if there's more going on in that game, I may not want to do it. And I don't want to be a part of somebody possibly not giving a game a chance. I don't understand the issue of it brings a conversation to a screeching halt. If you guys know the spoiler, us saying it's not going to make you know it anymore.
Well, I think it's the dancing around that you have to do, and we're pausing to find which words we can or can't say. I can definitely understand how that would be frustrating to listen to.
I mean, I can understand it too, but also I do think if we were to just straight out say the spoiler, even with like a brief spoiler warning, we'd still get people that were upset that we spoiled it. So I feel like it's a lose-lose situation.
And I noticed this from the comments because we had arguments on both sides. People complaining that we don't talk enough spoilers. We had people complaining that we talk about or that we give away too much. And so no matter what I do, somebody's gonna not be happy.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna continue being me, and I like to be,
Yeah.
I like to be cautious of other people's.
I have only ever argued for one spoiler that should be in the common discourse.
Okay. Oh, that Aerith dies in Final Fantasy VII?
Oh my god.
He said it.
I just got rock hard.
Yeah. There you go.
He said That's the only one I need out there.
You mean how Sephiroth takes a giant katana blade that's about 12 feet long and just jams it right up behind her?
Oh,
and the main character of the game actually dies
you
right in the middle of it?
You just made all the audience rock hard.
Yeah,
there you go.
I was gonna say, I remember seeing art like that on Rule 34.
Anyway, I just had to be clear that it was not me, trying to steer away from that conversation. I was actually really looking forward to it. It just did not work out for me to be there.
I mean, I guess we're just doing a redux at this point, but I did find it interesting that I would say the most common consensus was like 6 months to a year, right? That we were in our comments anyway, which I thought was interesting.
I mean, if you're going to, I think it depends on the game. I think it depends on the length of the game. If you're talking about a 5 or 6 hour game, I don't have a problem 6 to 12 months. But something that you like the one in Final Fantasy VII takes you literally 40 hours just to get to that moment.
No, that's your old brain tricking you. I feel like the whole game is 40 hours, right?
I don't remember.
Okay,
it took me 40 hours to get through part 1.
Well, that's they really stretched that out. They really made you walk down those hallways.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it depends on how long the game is, because if it's a longer game, it's gonna, some people don't have the gumption to go through games as quickly as we do that take that amount of time.
Of course,
and I can tell you from experience. I mean, there's a bunch of games this year that I started that I plan to get back to. If you guys had, I know
I'm the same way.
If this is within the 6 to 12 month window, I haven't finished Jedi Survivor, which you guys claim was written by a 12-year-old girl. And well, you ruffled some feathers with that comment. Let me tell you that.
Oh, is that right?
I saw.
But I would be upset if you spoiled that game for me and I don't get to that game in the next 2 or 3 years. It's a possibility I would not get through to that. I don't have the time to play through every game that I want to, and I try to be respectful of that to other people that may not even be into games as much as I am. You know what I mean? I mean, there could be an argument that if you don't have the time to play, then it doesn't really matter because you may not be that invested in games. But I don't feel that way. I feel like people should be able to enjoy things, and even if it is an old spoiler, there's nothing wrong with being cautious. The Final Fantasy VII spoiler, could we have talked about that a little bit more directly? Sure, I just did.
Right.
So there you go. It's out in the ether now. And to be perfectly direct, the reason I have not mentioned that spoiler is because a close personal friend of mine who listens to the show is in the middle of playing it.
She's been in the middle of playing it for like over a year now.
I understand that, but now I'm going to have to message her and say, hey, just in case, don't listen to the beginning of this episode because I really don't want you to see the spoiler.
I think that's
a perfect example of somebody that loves games and plays games as much as they do, and hasn't had time to play through that. She didn't beat Ocarina of Time until 20 years after it came out.
Yeah, but I don't think if somebody casually mentions that you become adult Link, I don't think that that's on that person. Like Christine, your friend, it's existed in the world
just outer
with Ocarina of Time for 2 decades. At a certain point, if it slips in the public around this person, I don't think that it's not on the people talking about the game. It's a widely regarded game. It's a widely played game. So I feel like my big takeaway argument was that I'm never intentionally trying to spoil something, but I'm not going to blame somebody if they tell me, what happens at the end of The Last of Us and I haven't played it and it's 2023. Like, that's not their fault. That's my fault.
It's your fault that you haven't consumed every possible game in the past 30 years?
Maybe fault is a bit harsh, but I'm not going to have any ill will towards somebody talking about something that's been around for a decade.
And for me, it's not about ill will. It's more about me wanting somebody else to have the same experience or similar experience I had the first time I played a game. I don't want to ruin it for somebody. I don't want to potentially keep somebody from having the same joyful moment or aha, blow your mind moment that I had just because I had it before them does not mean they don't deserve to have that same experience.
Sure, I understand. I mean, the Last of Us Part 2 remastered trailer gave away several moments I thought was like, what? These are all huge surprises. What are you doing?
Yeah. So the developer does that. That's on them.
Right.
Yeah, that is on them.
I understand. I'm just saying I do care about people's experiences.
No. And I'm not saying you don't. I'm just trying to explain to where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And I wish I could. I was listening to that episode going, man, I wish I had at least written a note in or something.
But you're too busy being cowardly. So
it's not being cowardly. I was not being cowardly.
He spent 2 weeks building up the courage to talk about it now.
Oh man, I really didn't.
No, I know.
Anyway, let's move on. I want to talk about some of the games that we've been catching up on, and I'm going to start this week because I actually beat a game. Yes, I had a little bit more time this week with the Thanksgiving break. I beat Alan Wake 2. I cannot wait to talk to you guys openly about that. Speaking of spoilers, because we're going to be doing a spoiler cast for that one on Patreon. Holy cow. I had a second moment in that game that has now become one of my favorite moments of 2023.
Oh.
And I think you guys both know what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm intrigued to hear you actually say what the moment is, because I can think of a few, but...
it has to do with a body of water.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah. I think the title of the... it was really great. But here's the thing, and I will talk more about this in the spoiler cast at length, but I love the atmosphere and the storytelling of Alan Wake 2. I genuinely think they have nailed atmosphere in a way that I've never expected. I mean, I kind of saw hints of it in things like Remedy, but here they kind of perfected just the look and using the medium in a way that was very unexpected, and using it in a way that is almost perfection in terms of execution. I'm with you on the ending. Again, I don't like how quickly the ending was. It just felt like it just felt kind of flat. Like, really, that's all this, and then that's how it's going to end.
That's how I felt as well.
It just felt like kind of a non-ending, like a nothing ending. I mean, the lead up to it and everything was great. It was just that final moment was like, really, like it just felt. I felt like I deserved a little bit more.
Yeah, it almost feels anticlimactic in some way.
Yes, that's a good way. That's a good way to say it, because it was a decent ending. It just felt like a. I'm not going to even say Deus Ex Machina. Like, it's like a step below that. But
yeah.
And there was some more information after that I found actually more interesting than the way it ended. But I'm looking forward to talking about that openly. Here's the thing, though, is I still hold to the fact that as good as the atmosphere and the storytelling is, I can't say that I loved playing through it.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically the Alan Wake sections. I got so tired of navigating through, in some cases, old Resident Evil mansion levels. Like, I felt like every time I went to a new place, it was I sound like super negative this week. I don't mean to. It felt like, go to this thing. Oh, I can't go to that thing. I need this to go do that. And then I go to this other place to get that other thing, and say, oh, I can't do that because you need to do this first. It just felt like this breadcrumb trail of things I had to do to get back to where I was going, and it felt like a roadblock to me every single time. Like, I just wanted to move forward, and the game had to constantly be a game to allow me to keep moving forward instead of just doing the storytelling. I don't know. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Well,
I get it. Yeah.
It's classic survival horror in that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose that's probably fair, but
is what they're trying to. For me, if I don't know if it's just in my head, but I feel like Alan's part of the game is shorter by the end.
It did feel, it felt shorter to me as well.
So to me, I don't think it bothered me because of its short length. Then I could always get back to Bright Falls and talking to the townsfolk.
And like I've said, I did prefer playing a Saga, actually.
Yeah, it seems to be the overwhelming opinion, which is crazy for a game called Alan Wake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Saga I will
Anderson.
say, I'm probably going to talk more about it.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue the same way, Saga Anderson.
I'll talk more in depth when we do our spoiler cast, but I have thoughts about Saga's storyline, but I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys about that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm intrigued by the DLC that's coming next year. There's 2 pieces of DLC coming.
Yeah, I wonder how much I'm going to remember by next year.
Yeah, because
You know what I mean?
the first one is like you're playing as other characters, and it almost sounds like a horde kind of mode. Night Springs, but I don't know if the combat to me doesn't support that kind of game mode. But the second one is like it's a whole new location that you're exploring as Saga and Alan. So,
gotcha.
I think the lake house. They hint to it in the game anyway. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. So that's what I've been catching up on. I got new things to talk about later. But Alyssa, what about you? Have you been catching up on anything?
So I'm still playing Spider-Man 2. I just finished up, I'm pretty sure, all the side quests. I got the trophies and all that. I just wanted to clear those out. So I can focus on the main quest now. I'm 18 hours in.
That's how I like to play it. That's how I like to play those games too. So
I'm 18 hours in, so I guess I've probably got like 6-7 hours left. Is that right, Zach?
Yeah, well, if you're going... I think it took me like 24, 25 hours to do everything. So.
I don't know if I'll get the platinum or not, because I've looked at some of the stuff you have to do, and I just don't know if I want to do it.
Understood.
But I do want to do all the story beats. Still enjoying it. Does have a few issues, but overall...
Have you gotten to the 19 inches of Venom yet?
Well, I've come across Venom. I don't know about the 19 inches part. You'll have to tell me after. I know it's the statue thing.
Yeah, it was just in reference to the statue. They knew what they were doing when they put that
19 inches of Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still having a good time thwipping around New York City, you know.
Yeah, the thwipping's the best part.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get back to that. That is next on my list after my my backlog.
I gotta get back to Assassin's Creed Mirage, because I was really enjoying that, but then Alan Wake came, and Spider-Man 2 came, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. Hopefully I can put some time into stuff over Christmas break as well. So, all right, well, that's the games we've been catching up on. Let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. First off, got some trailers to talk about. Pinball FXM. You know I was going to talk about something pinball related. There's some new tables coming to Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC on November 30th. South Park Snow Day finally got a gameplay trailer. That is Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC sometime in 2024. And Alyssa's probably looking forward to this one. House Flipper 2. House Flipper 2 is coming to Xbox, PlayStation, and PC on February 23rd. In other news, Jet Force Gemini is officially coming to the Nintendo Switch Online. And Ubisoft claims that pop-up ads in Assassin's Creed Odyssey were a, quote, technical error. Zach, where would you like to start talking?
Oh, well, I got to go with Jet Force Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
A little Xbox Nintendo cross promotion going on here. Mm-hmm. Jet Force Gemini is coming to Nintendo Switch Online. Of course, the very affordable subscription plan over there. Dude, this game's a banger. It's a Rare classic, like Rare the company, not rare as in hard to find. It came out at $99 on Nintendo 64. You can play it on Xbox, right, with the Rare Replay Collection?
Yes, that's correct. I did not know that. I didn't remember that. I just read it in an article, and I was like, that game was in there? I had no idea.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That's the last time I played it for sure. And then NSO, Nintendo Switch Online, December, coming.
It's a third-person space shooter. What made this game so good in your mind? Because I remember playing it one time, and I had some beverages when I was younger, and I don't remember much of it.
Oh, I mean, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was 8 years old when I played it.
Okay.
You know, it was just kind of a cartoony little sci-fi game. You're rescuing little like teddy bear guys. I can't remember their name, which made it a little frustrating when I was replaying it because you have to find like all of them before you can move on in a lot of levels. Mm-hmm. And it was cool because you're blasting apart these giant alien ant guys. Just kind of a fun setting, I guess, and you know, it has a cartoonish Rare flair to it. And I don't know why it just sunk its teeth into me when I was a kid. That's why my first on AIM, my very first email was Juno 1991, named after Juno, the main character of Jet Force Gemini.
Okay.
AIM. Wow.
Yeah.
AOL
that was my AOL email to set up my AIM, which was, of course, my username was DarkLink1000.
Ah.
You see.
Nice.
Yeah. Way cooler than the email I revealed to you, Zach. Way cooler.
Yeah, I'm not going to put you on blast.
No, don't do it.
But yeah, Jet Force Gemini, I guess it's just, you know, it's like a GoldenEye in third person, I guess, in a lot of ways. So it was just a fun third person shooter. And you had like a little jetpack. And you played as the different characters. I think it's Juno. I want to say Valir maybe was the main girl, and they had a little dog too. But the dog had these hover boots on when you were playing as them, so you could kind of fly around. It's just I don't know, weird little game.
Are you going to jump back into this and play this on Switch?
I think so. Well, yeah, probably take advantage of Nintendo Switch Online. I was just wondering. I was like, I guess I could just boot it up in Rare Replay where it probably plays better, but I don't know.
And earn achievement.
Let's get the Nintendo nostalgia going.
Yeah.
I'll play it for at least 15 minutes before I go, well, why don't I just play this on Rare Replay?
Was it the original game on Rare Replay, or did they like up-res it at all? Or
I think they up-res everything on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just so it's compatible with modern TVs and stuff like that. And I think it's smoothed out a little, yes. And the controls I remember being fixed up.
But I wonder if they're doing that on Nintendo Switch Online, because
absolutely not.
Because I played the Ocarina and stuff like that a little bit, and they did not make those super user friendly, which is so weird to me.
They made all the controls worse for most of the N64 games.
Yeah, like I would rather have an N64 controller to play that. Which is weird. But.
Maybe that's what they're trying to do: get you to buy that accessory, that 64 controller they were selling that you can play on Switch.
Oh yeah, I don't want. I actually have one, but
oh really?
But it's boxed up.
Sure, shrink wrapped.
Yeah, not to be used. But anyway, I'm happy for you, man. I love it when these random games that you talk about really enjoying just pop up and make it very easy to play. So
absolutely.
How about you, Alyssa? Anything trip your trigger there from the news list?
Well, I guess I'll talk about the other article, but there's something missing, which I don't blame you because it only matters to me. It only matters to me.
Okay.
But Stray Kids is officially being featured in NBA 2K24 on the soundtrack.
Oh. This is a K-pop band you like a lot?
Yeah. Their song Item. And it's to celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip-hop. And I'm like, why are Stray Kids on the hip-hop? They do that. It's a hip-hop song, to be fair.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Now
is this the band that's your phone background?
Yes, it is. You've also seen Felix. Zach knows a lot about me.
Yeah, Felix. Felix is a very pretty man.
He's 23, though. He's too young.
No.
Sadly.
He's legal. What are you talking about?
I'll put in a good word for you.
Oh, you know him? Because my dad's very delusional about it. He keeps saying Felix is going to be my boyfriend. I'm like, unless you know Felix, no, he's not.
Hey, man, you never know.
Anyway, I was excited hearing that, but I'm not going to play the game unless it's on Game Pass, and then I'll just load it up just to hear the song in the game.
You could just go to Spotify and listen to it. Good.
I know, and I'm hoping I get the album for Christmas so I can play it physically as well. But I mean, I've listened to it so many times. I'm not asking you to buy me a Christmas present. But anyway, that was my little news thing. I just had to do it.
Okay.
But actual news story. Ubisoft claims pop-up ads in Assassin's Creed Odyssey were, in air quotes, a technical error.
Did you guys hear about this?
I did.
I mean, their excuse was hilarious.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
While playing the title... Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, I was just saying a technical error. What is... Yeah. How does that excuse what happened? I don't understand.
Right.
I don't understand the defense at all.
So for people that don't know what's going on, Alyssa, you want to explain to them?
Yeah. While playing the title this week, some players encountered a pop-up ad for Assassin's Creed Mirage when trying to access the map. Ubisoft released a statement saying, "We have been made aware that some players encountered pop-up ads while playing certain Assassin's Creed titles yesterday. This was the result of a technical error that we addressed as soon as we learned of the issue." Ubisoft says it was trying to put an ad for Assassin's Creed Mirage in the main menu of other Assassin's Creed games. However, a, quote, technical error, unquote, caused the promotion to show up on in-game menus instead. Ubisoft says the issue has since been fixed.
Yeah, so imagine you're playing an Assassin's Creed game. You're playing Odyssey, and you go to hit the map, and instead of your map coming up, it is a full-page advertisement for Assassin's Creed Mirage, the latest game, and a button for you to click on it. And every time you go to the map, you have to back out of that and to be able to go to get access to your map. I guess that'd be frustrating, especially because the Assassin's Creed games are not free to play. They're something that you either paid full price for at launch or have paid for it at a discounted price, well after it came out. So a lot of people were really upset by this. I don't know how often it happened. If it happened every time you're accessing the map, that would get really, really annoying to me because I use the map
that can't
quite
be
often.
the case, right? That would be unforgivable.
Guess I'm not using the map anymore.
Yeah, I don't think I could not use the map in
know.
an Assassin's Creed game. You know how I like to do checklisty type stuff. I mean, I'm glad it got fixed, but do we even need the advertisement in the main menu of a game that I paid money for?
No, but more and more games are doing that, and this just feels like obviously they've got the code in there, right, for making it pop up for when you access the map. So they're planning along these lines inevitably.
I mean, I don't know how all that works. It just seems kind of sus that it is a technical error that would pop up.
Yes.
But I wonder, would they have fixed it if people hadn't complained? Like,
no, of course not.
Well, I mean, they wouldn't have known about it probably if it hadn't.
Oh, they
hadn't
knew.
Complained about it.
Come on.
Yeah, I feel like
That's
they
what
knew.
I'm saying. If nobody complained about it,
If
then
it was,
why would they fix it?
Or if it was just even quieter, But this is just a test bed of. This is the first round where everybody gets mad, and then when they do it again, like, oh yeah, classic Ubisoft, and then they get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are like, yeah, that's just what they do, man. And but then I can't wait for it to not be their own products, and they just start advertising, new James Bond in theaters.
Don't get me started, man. They start advertising movies inside my games. I'm gonna riot.
Yeah, you can see it now, right? Star Wars Outlaws comes out next year. Ubisoft's open world Star Wars game. Yeah. Every time you open up the map, it's like, check out Book of Boba Fett on Disney Plus.
Well, I mean, Cutie Booty Delivery Duty kind of did it because they were advertising Ride with Norman Reedus and Monster Energy drinks.
At least that was goofy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they pulled it then, like after the contract or whatever was up. So they were making money off of that.
Well, it was also like, while he's showering, there's like a poster of his TV show or something. That's
Norman Reedus,
that is funny.
Yeah.
If it was in the Star Wars Outlaws, you go to your base and then there's a poster for it, Tamora Morrison's New Zealand reality show, that would be funny.
Right. Not a full page like, hey, we see that you're playing Star Wars.
Yeah.
Would you like to click on this link to download a demo or purchase?
Would you like to watch the movie trailer, the latest movie?
You heard of Jedi Survivor written by our local elementary school?
Oh, dude, you're going to get me in trouble.
Just kidding.
Now you're making me not want to play through that game.
The gameplay is phenomenal. I said as much when the game came out.
Hey, honestly, if I heard that game sounded like it was written by a 12-year-old girl writing fan fiction, I would want to play it just to see if that was true.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, the comparison's not fair. There's not nearly enough smooching for it to have been written by a 12-year-old girl.
That's true. Not enough romance.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting curious. Now I'm totally getting
curious. See? It's enticing.
Right.
All right. So there was not much news this week. I feel like when I was searching for stuff, everything was check out this Black Friday sale or Cyber Monday sale. It's a rough time to try to find anything interesting news.
It's all quiet because of the Game Awards, right? Why would you announce anything right now?
Yeah, that's a good point. Although the coast is clear, so you feel like you'd have a wide open.
Yeah, I guess if you didn't get a Game Awards spot, this would be your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Surely the GTA 6 trailer will be before that, right? Before or after?
I mean, that's the rumor. It said sometime in December.
Yeah, they said early December. But there's no way it's at the Game Awards, right? Like, they're not going to share that spotlight.
They don't need to.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I don't feel like they need to. Anyway, I want to talk about, because anytime pinball comes up, I got to mention it. But I genuinely think this is cool, and I hope that this will get some people into pinball. But Zen Studios has put together some new tables, and they're calling it Pinball FXM, which are these tables based on some popular properties. The big one that stands out to me is a table based on The Thing.
Oh, I saw the trailer for that.
The 1984 movie with Kurt Russell.
That looks sick, by the way.
It looks really cool, and the voice they got to be Kurt Russell's character actually sounds pretty close to him.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed with that.
Is it sometimes that you just can't trust the pinball?
I don't know. I haven't played the game, but I would imagine there's got to be something like that. They actually do a really good job of incorporating themes like that into the gameplay, not just in like spoken dialogue. They actually do things to mess with the ball mechanics and I don't know what they're going to do though because I haven't played it. So
it would be awesome if during a multi-ball, like one of them was just heavy, so it wouldn't fling.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Something like that. They've done cool stuff like that. So there's also tables based on Dead by Daylight, Chucky's Killer Pinball, which actually looks pretty fun, and Wrath of the Elder Gods. So these like horror themed pinball tables. I'm excited about it, and it's right around the corner, November 30th. So.
Children of the Elder Gods.
Anyway, that is the week's news. Let's go ahead and move on before we get to the newer games that we've been playing. I want to remind everybody that we are an independently funded podcast, which means we do need to pay for our podcast hosting services, website, and all that on our own, which is why we have a Patreon page where fans can contribute money to help offset the cost of production, as well as give back to the community. If you'd like to help out, you can do so at patreon.com/thegocast. If you would like to be a part of that, you can get some bonuses at the $3 and $5 tier. We'll get you some extra episodes. And at the $1 tier, you'll get our episodes a day earlier than everybody else. Zach, would you do me a favor and let everybody else know what they can expect from those bonus episodes?
Sure. I mean, newer ones out right now. You have that trade-off with you and Kevin where you guys swap some games you like. You discuss Streets of Rage 2, Marvel Land, Sunset Riders, yeehaw, and DuckTales. You did Desert Island Games with Paul Hine. That was a fun episode that we did with Paul there.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, man. He has a very particular taste in games.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Upcoming episodes, our Alan Wake 2 spoiler cast will be coming at you hot and heavy. Looks like we got another Desert Island Games coming up with Jay Henry, a Patreon contributor. And there's allegedly going to be a Break the Seal and Super Mario RPG from our boy Kevin Honigford, although he's playing the remake, not the superior original.
I mentioned you in my review.
He did.
Oh, you did?
Well, I did.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, no.
Well, not by name.
Not by name, but one of my co-hosts, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I got
basically said you were crazy.
That the original looks better?
No. Yeah, it does not look better.
Oh, man. I don't think I'm alone, personally, but there are dozens of us.
I'm also trying to talk Zack into doing a Break the Seal or Retro Outsider on the Lone Ranger on NES.
Right. Well, yeah.
As well as, have you played Gunsmoke on the NES?
No, I don't think so.
Dude,
is it based on the TV show?
No. It's basically a shmup. Vertical shmup.
Oh, is this Gun Dot Smoke?
Gun Dot Smoke, it is.
Yes, I played it briefly years ago, yes.
Yeah. Probably would not fit the politically correct
yeah.
Modern. I'm just thinking of some of the
you shoot a lot of Indians
and stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, just even the name, because there's like wanted posters, and one of them is you'll have to play it to see it. But I think it'd be fun to do a Western themed Break the Seal with you.
Sure. Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I haven't played Gun Dot Smoke in quite a while, but that sounds like a lot of fun. Anyway, if you'd like to have access to those bonus episodes, you can do so over at patreon.com/thegocast. We really do appreciate your help, and thanks in advance for doing so. With that, let's go ahead and jump into the new games we've been playing. All right, Zach, talk to me. What do we got coming out for new games this week that we can purchase?
Up first, the strangely delayed Batman Arkham Trilogy comes to Switch December 1st. You'll notice it says Trilogy because, weirdly, Warner Brothers refuses to acknowledge that there was an Arkham Origins video game for some reason.
Huh.
That'll also, I think, that's when the Robert Pattinson Batsuit will be added to all versions of Arkham Knight. So if you're really looking forward to that.
I don't think I even realized it was that different. I'm not going to lie.
Oh. It's a pretty cool suit. Pretty different.
Yeah. Cool.
That's all right. You don't have to know.
Was this one black?
Whoa. Yeah. Unlike the comics where it's often blue and gray, it was black like all the other movies.
Or purple in the NES game.
Or purple. I'm colorblind, so it probably looked blue to me.
There you go.
Channel your inner Pokemon with Dragon Quest of Monsters: The Dark Prince coming to Switch December 1st. Based on the popular book series, The Lost Legends of Redwall, The Scout Anthology comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC December 1st. The next entry of the long-running SteamWorld game franchise, SteamWorld Build, is a city builder coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC December 1st. A Highland Song comes to Switch and PC December 5th. Disney Dreamlight Valley exits early access and enters 1.0, although they changed plans. It's no longer free to play. You do have to buy it. That'll be on all consoles and PC December 5th. Sonic Dream Team is a frustratingly an Apple Arcade exclusive on iOS December 5th because it looks awesome. Chessorama is a puzzle game using the logic of chess pieces. It kind of looks interesting. Coming to Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC December 5th. Blood West breaks my heart in that it is not on consoles. It is only on PC December 5th. It's a horror western shooter. Looks great. And it's got Stephen Russell, the voice of Garrett from the Thief franchise, is the voice. A Long Journey to an Uncertain End is an awesome title. Just the actual title, not the game. I don't know anything about the game, but it's coming to Switch December 5th. The Anacrusis comes to Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC December 5th. The Lord of the Rings Return to Moria is a survival game in the mines of Moria, but it leaves PC and has a PS5 December 5th. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, I assume, will be a sleeper hit. Mainstream. We might not care, but I bet it will sell gangbusters. Comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC December 7th. Outer Wilds, many people I respect's favorite game ever, comes to Switch December 7th. Terminator Dark Fate Defiance is a Terminator-themed RTS coming to PC December 7th. And then Hollow Cocoon is a first-person Asian horror game set in the 80s. I immediately thought of Alyssa. Comes to PC December 7th. Scott Clark, what in this list is exciting you?
Not too much. I'm mildly interested in the Lost Legends of Redwall because I was a massive reader of those books when I was a kid. I don't know if you guys have read those, but Brian Jakes is a interesting author, very accessible to kids, but he will spend like 3 or 4 pages describing the feasts, like what everybody eats.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember as a kid reading and just getting hungry, wanting to try everything that was being described on all these pages of these books.
What a specific thing to remember.
Yeah.
Have you ever read them?
No.
No, I never read them.
I mean, they're kind of. I mean, they're well written. They're fantasy, but they're young adult. Even like I read them when I was in elementary school, so I don't know. I mean, I was a good reader, but they're fun. They're fantasy. Like I remember the main character, I believe his name is Matimio, goes off to fight a giant snake named Asmodeus. I remember that specifically. It was crazy. But everything centers around like this abbey, and all the people live in the abbey and they get sent off on missions and everything. So they're all anthropomorphized animals, like mice and rats and things like that. So snakes. So yeah, I have good memories of that, and I'm intrigued that it's become a video game. So I would love to check it out.
I think it looks pretty. It looks like an action adventure, like a puzzle focused action adventure game. It looks kind of cool, actually.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Alyssa?
3 actually intrigue me. First up is a Highland Song because I love Scotland. I've never been there, but Outlander fan.
Oh, sure.
It looks like my kind of game.
Should have known.
A Long Journey to an Uncertain End gives me the same vibes that Opus Echoes of Star Song gave me, which I played last year. I love that game.
Okay.
So this reminds me of that, so I do want to play this game sometime. And then, of course, the one that reminded you of me, Hollow Cocoon, because I love Japanese horror. I love survival horror video games. So, I want to play it at some point.
It does look suitably creepy.
I love creepy stuff.
No doubt. As for me, the game tripping my trigger, of course, Blood West on PC. I won't be able to play it.
Yeah, that reminded me of you when I watched the trailer.
So if the developers are listening, please, I have PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, anywhere you guys want to put it, I'll play it.
Just port it to a console for Zack.
Yeah, or I guess I just have to get a PC. There's a lot of indie westerns that are only on PC. Maybe I just got to get a PC now.
Or a SteamDeck.
If it's SteamDeck compatible.
Oh, you're right. SteamDeck, that's I like that. That's a good idea. I should look into that.
I find very few games that I can't at least play on SteamDeck.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, there's some older ones that I can't. Like, I can't play the Fallout games on there, which is a bummer because I would love to see what everybody talks about with those. But
those are very mouse focused, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really difficult to use a mouse in that game. But yeah, I very rarely come across one that I can't at least play, especially when it's something that makes sense with a controller support. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, I'm also not looking out for a lot of games that require me to play with a mouse. If that makes sense.
Understood. In terms of games I could play, I guess it would be Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora because I can't decide if it looks good or not.
That's the same with me. They haven't really promoted it that much, which is also a little weird to me because Avatar's pretty big. I mean, it's a pretty big franchise.
Isn't that a Ubisoft joint?
Yes.
It is, right? Yeah.
Yes, the Division team.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't even see the last Avatar movie.
I haven't watched it yet.
What?
I keep meaning to, but I find other stuff.
We made $2.5 billion. You guys haven't seen it. It's crazy. Who's seeing these movies? I saw it. It was awesome, by the way. Great movie. Yeah. It was.
I will watch it eventually.
I think that I'm not even going to say it because Zach's just going to yell at me. So
what? No. Now I need to know. Come on.
Oh, no.
No, come on.
The length of the movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What are you doing? What does that matter?
Well, I have limited time, man.
That's what. Everyone has limited time. We all have limited time, Scott. It's just how we use it.
Well, here's the thing: is I usually watch when I'm watching something. It's like right when I'm falling asleep, and if I'm not gonna make it through a 2-hour 45-minute movie while I'm falling asleep. You know what I mean? Or then I'm gonna like try to catch up the next day and scrub to wherever I left off, and then I'm just like, I need to sit down and just commit to it. I guess.
I think it is a great blockbuster for sure. The game I can't. My head cannot get around the idea of playing as a Na'vi in first person. I don't understand why that decision was made. Still, they're cool because of the way they look and the way they move around the jungle. And then you're making a game where neither of those are possible. It's very weird to me.
Yeah. Are they playing off of the second movie? Like, is there a lot of water involved?
not that I can say.
I think it's a direct sequel to the first movie.
Yeah, I think it's an interquel, as it were.
Yeah, in between.
Ooh, I didn't know that was a word.
I don't know. I've seen it around. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of it before.
Interquel, interesting.
Yeah,
I like it.
Speaking of made up, well, no, that transition doesn't work. Mario RPG is a remake. We need a term. We do need a term for a shot-for-shot remake, though, to differentiate it from. This is not a Resident Evil 4 style remake. This is a Shadow of the Colossus style remake, right?
I thought we said this was like remaster. This is
because remaster is where you just touch up the graphics.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just you're redoing the graphics altogether. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say that the graphics are remade, but the game is not. So there needs to be a term for that.
Okay.
But anyway, you're playing Super Mario RPG.
I
think you already beat it, right?
I did. I beat it in less than a week. I told you, man. Get some time off. I played some games for myself.
You just told me I don't have any time.
Well, I did have a 3.5-hour drive up to Green Bay for a game, so I was able to knock out a good portion of it that way.
Scott, I told you before, you have to stop playing games while you're driving.
It wasn't while my wife was driving.
Don't drive in game, kids.
Yeah.
Don't tempt me. I would no. But you're right. Super Mario RPG plays nearly identical to the original in terms of the core gameplay. There's nothing new here. There's not. I guess there's like an extra secret hidden boss or something like that. I haven't found it yet. I know there was a hidden boss in the original, and I didn't go through and find that because I remember that being really stupid hard.
Yeah.
But I don't remember how high you have to level up to do it. But
it was a Final Fantasy boss, right?
Yeah, Culex, I believe is what it was. Yeah. So it's got like 4 crystals around him, and one of them heals, one of them does this. I did beat it back when I was a kid on the original SNES, but so what is different? Number one, the graphics have been updated to make them look more modern Nintendo characters.
Much cleaner. It just feels very corporate, this look to me.
Yeah, it looks better.
It looks like corporate. I didn't. For once, I didn't mean corporate in a bad way. I mean, it looks like the brand
sterile
look for Nintendo.
Yeah.
They have a defined look for a lot of their Mario stuff.
And I don't know if they really showed this in the trailer, but there are cutscenes now. So like whenever you fight a boss, they have a little cutscene with those characters. It's just a real brief like circle around the enemy kind of thing, and he does a little like points at you kind of thing or whatever. But you get a really good look at the character a little bit, or the boss before you have this fight, and
that's cool.
That is going to be my argument for this game looking better. And I had this conversation with Kevin on one of our Patreon episodes, but I'll have it with you. I I love the original sprite work. I did enjoy that. However, I felt like I kept looking at the characters not the way they were intended to be looked at. And what I mean by that is, for instance, Gino, the character Gino is this little, if you haven't played it, Alyssa, he's this doll that is inhabited by the spirit of somebody that lives up in the stars, and he becomes one of your party members. And he's this cute little blue doll that looks like a Pinocchio type puppet, only dressed in blue, and he's got these little bangs that come up over his right above his head. So anyway, when I was a kid playing this game, and every time you win a battle, they do the little, like, all the characters look at the screen and kind of do this, like, cute little animation. And Gino's animation was he kind of crosses his arms and then just nods at you. And for whatever reason, the little curly Q hair thing that he's got going on him, I thought those were his eyes.
Oh.
Instead of, like, where his face is, I thought that was his smile. So what Gino looks like in my child's mind's eye looks more like Tingle from the Zelda series, like this goofy grin on his face, and it doesn't fit, because if you see Gino, he just looks like this angry puppet, for lack of a better way. And now that is not as sprite based in this game, I'm actually seeing him for what he looks like. Another example, there's a boss at the beginning that is a little guy that jumps on a pogo stick, for lack of a better term. And my entire life, I thought that was a pogo stick with a set of eyes and a mouth on it. Come to find out, that's actually a guy sitting on top of a pogo stick. It was not an anthropomorphized pogo stick. And
I feel like this might be some Scott issues here.
Telling you, dude. I'm telling you. Oh, and Balome. Do you remember the boss Balome that you meet a couple times? He's in front of a temple. He's like a giant dog. He's got you come across this guy multiple times. Looks completely different than what I thought he looked like in the game. So that's like 4 different instances where I was 15, 16 when this game came out, but did not have any issues seeing what those characters look like playing it in this way. So that is my argument for this game looking better, because the characters actually look like what they're supposed to.
I think ultimately it's a very subjective thing, right? I like that the characters almost look like little clay models in the original, and it had this kind of painterly overlay to the sprites. I thought it was just a very cool, distinct look. And again, I love the font. I know it's a very weird thing, but
I am with you on that. I actually kind of miss the old font.
Okay.
A little bit. I do miss the old font, but I think the characters look vastly superior. I challenge you to go do a playthrough of this game and then go back and play it on the Super Nintendo, and it will just feel very old school. Because I went and looked up some screenshots, and I was like, I don't remember that game looking that rough. Again, I was looking at it on a CRT monitor, instead of you could play it on. You could play it on the Super Nintendo Classic, right?
We played it only a few years ago for Retro Outsider, and I thought it looked great still.
But we were playing it on I was playing it on an SNES Classic. I don't remember where you were playing it. Were you playing on an emulator?
Yeah, an emulator, yeah.
Still, even then, you're playing it on a not CRT monitor.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, so graphics look a lot different. They've added some other things in this game that I have a love-hate relationship with it, because they've added a chain meter. So you know how you have the timed hits and the timed defense like you do in the original game?
Of course.
That's here, but now they keep track of it, how many times you do it in a row. And they carry over to the next boss fight or the next fight in general. So if you get 20 of those in a row, you go to the next fight and that 20 is still running. And the higher that goes, you actually get certain increases. Like now my magic power is more powerful and it goes up this percentage, and my defenses goes up this percentage. So the more you hit those in a row, the easier the game is going to be. Now, if you miss once, it starts back to 0, right?
Right.
But that was kind of a little fun addition. And then the other thing that they've added is they've added limit breaks. So if you ever played a Final Fantasy game, you know how like if you get hit so many times, this little meter goes up, and then you get this special move that unlocks for a one-time use. So it's like that, except it's not necessarily you getting hit. It's how many times you actually get a timed hit. So again, the more you get those, the faster this meter goes up. And once it gets to 100%, you unleash a depending on how many people in your party. It could be a tri move, or it could be a dual move, or it could be if you're by yourself, it could be we're gonna do this move with Toad or something like that. And it's a one-time use, and it is either an expensive attack or a defense, or it gives you some kind of buffs. The fun thing about this is that each one is different based on who is in your party. So it reminds me of in Chrono Trigger, those remember them in Chrono Trigger when you have two people with different magical powers, and would do a combo move, and they would combine their forces.
Cross attack.
Right. It's like that, but with all three characters. And whatever combination of three characters you use, it does this whole animation, like an actual cutscene animation of it. Almost acts more like a summon, even though it's not really a summon. It's pretty cool. Like for one example, I had Mario, Bowser, and Peach in my party. So Mario picks up a turtle shell, kicks it high into the air. Oh no! Bowser turns into like a spiked turtle shell. Mario kicks it high into the air, and then Peach throws a star at it, so the star becomes like invincible, and that's what kind of rains down on all the enemies on your screen at one time.
Oh, okay.
And that's just one example. Depending on all the different combinations you get, it does something completely different, and it's pretty rad.
I mean, sounds like there's a little bit more to this remake than I thought.
Yes, there's good things in there that give you another reason to play it. I will say that it made the game significantly easier, though. I don't know if that's just because I played this game so many times and I've got the timing down of when to block and when to attack. Alyssa, you're familiar with that from playing Sea of Stars. It's similar to that. And if you like that, you really should play this.
Yeah, I love Sea of Stars. So, yeah, I do want to play this.
But I do think it does make the game a lot easier. I felt overpowered by the time I got to the second or third star. Like, I mean, it got so easy that I was defeating bosses without taking a hit, which is unheard of in an RPG. That just doesn't happen. So, I by the end of the game, I wasn't even using my magical abilities. I was just using straight attacks because they were so powerful. I felt like they gave me too much power with my regular weapons. So,
I wonder why they made it that much easier.
I don't know, because there's actually a difficulty setting. You can actually, at the beginning, do easy mode, or they might call it story mode or something like that, and then normal mode. There's no like hard mode, it's just normal mode. And of course I took normal.
Yeah.
And I almost wish there was a hard mode where they, made the enemies have some more HP or took away the chain thing, or I don't know. I mean, that seems like, why would I pay the extra money to do that? But it was definitely not challenging. It was just a time factor to get through the game.
Well, is there co-op in the game? Because maybe they're aiming for everyone in the family to be able to play it.
I mean, there was not co-op in the original. It was a purely single-player game. Suppose that could be a thing, but that would take a whole different, building from the ground up approach.
Yeah. You just make the other characters controllable. That's what the Tales games do, where only the first player moves you around the map, and then just when you're in combat, the second player will be just one of the characters, basically.
Has that ever been done in a turn-based JRPG where people play different characters? Because I feel like...
Just told you it was done in Tales.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Tales like a Sonic game. I wasn't...
the Tales of games.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not realize you were talking about an actual JRPG.
Like Tales of Symphonia and stuff. Although I guess their combat is this weird hybrid action model, so
yeah,
it's a little different.
Like, because I feel like in a turn-based JRPG, you've got one person that kind of is designated as the healer. At least that's how I play them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Peach is always my healer. I just
sure.
By the way, you want an easy way to win that game? Always have Peach in your party. She's got like this overpowered magical ability that just heals everybody, including status effects.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I don't remember it doing status effects when I played it originally. I thought it was just
so powerful. I'm trying to think of any RPG that lets you just do it all at once like that.
Right, and it's only like 4 mana. Like, it's not even like that expensive. So you're kind of, and especially because her weapon that they've given her is just as powerful as everybody else's. I feel like it was not that way in the original game. That's like the trade-off, right? If you have a healer that is really a good healer, then they're just not going to be as powerful in the attacks. But she is doing just as much damage as Mario is with the regular attacks. So anyway,
she's the best character of the game then.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's hard not to have her in there, although I really like Gino. I just think Gino's a cool character.
Sure.
He gets those weapons where like he shoots. He's got a weapon called a finger gun, where he shoots one bullet out of each finger, and it's just like down each of the line. It's just awesome.
It is awesome.
Everything else about the game though plays very, very similarly. Like nothing has changed. The music, is kind of more orchestrated now. But that music is so iconic in my mind. I've got the music in my head right now as we speak. So that is Super Mario RPG. Highly recommend it. Even if you've played it, and it sounds like there's just a few tweaks here and there. If you love the game, it's a good excuse to do it. If you've never played it before, there's never been a better time. This is a great, great place to start. Just know it is a JRPG, not a traditional Mario game.
Understood.
And there you have it.
Let's see. Cookie Cutter is another game you've been playing, right? This is a gear-gated action game?
It is.
You played
it
this
looks
one
extremely violent, by the way, too.
Holy cow, this game is dark, guys. And I mean this in like all the best ways. Cookie Cutter. I don't know if you guys saw the trailer, but one of the trailers actually shows like the opening sequence to this game.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one you got, Alyssa?
Yeah.
Is that he's got like the hostage like bent over a gunpoint or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah, dude, that's pretty gnarly.
The story opens with being told from the perspective of a woman that has created. Okay, how do you even describe this? It's like this utopian, or not utopian, but what's the word I'm talking about? Like not apocalyptic, but
dystopian.
Dystopian. Thank you.
Yeah.
Where these the bad guys or the corporate overlords have created these AI robots, and they've convinced society that it is a good thing to upload their memories into these AI robots so that they can live forever. And in doing so, they're not realizing that they're basically succumbing to slavery because they're basically having to do whatever these corporate overlords say because they're now under control. It's a really interesting setup for a story.
What do you think the metaphor is?
Right?
I know.
So the woman that's telling the story is talking about she decides to make her own that she wants to make for good purposes and not do this, and she gives it this female form that she names Cherry. That's the name of the robot. So the game opens with the corporate overlords basically capturing this creator that creates Cherry and brutally destroying Cherry herself. And when I say brutal, it is hyper violent, which is weird to say something being hyper violent when it's a robot, because it's not a real person. And you don't, there's no question about whether or not she is a robot because she has clearly got gears and wires and stuff sticking out of her. But just the look on her face and the way she's pleading for the life of her creator, and then the bad guys are just like, just take her out and just mercilessly beats her to quote unquote death. You find out she actually survived the process. And then the game actually opens up and you wake up and you're, fully back to normal. Apparently somewhere between that moment and now you are, fully functional. This guy has repaired you and brought you back. And then it turns into a 2D gear-gated game like Zack mentioned. And that's where it starts to get even more interesting because now you're fighting robots again and it's brutally violent again. And I mean this in all the best ways. It feels visceral and it feels raw every time you take out one of these guys. The game plays more like I don't know if you guys ever played Guacamelee.
Yes, yeah.
This reminds me of Guacamelee, where you were constantly crowd controlling. Like there's enemies all over the place, and you have to figure out the right ways to get over here to do some damage while waiting for the other guys to come over to you, and then strategically move yourself in different ways. So it reminds me of that. But once the enemy gets down to a certain point, it does the little like, oh, press this button to do a finishing move, like a in Doom, what do they call those, glory kills or whatever?
Yeah. Glory kills, yeah.
And these glory kills are animated in just gory fashion. Like it is, and they play this metal music behind it that just really works for me. It is a lot of fun to play. It is really, really great. The traditional gear gated stuff is there. I just got the double jump and all these other abilities that make new areas accessible. So very gear gated in that sense. The health is interesting because it's actually tied to your mana. So you've got your HP bar, and then you've got, in essence, a mana bar that you can collect pellets to increase that mana bar by defeating enemies or destroying boxes in the environment and that kind of thing. And you can use that mana to either do attacks that are more lethal than your normal attacks, or to actually replenish your health. So it's kind of a give and take. Like, do I want to replenish my health or save it for fighting? So it depends on your style. I think it's kind of brilliant in that it allows you to decide what way you want to play. Do you want to go in with light attacks and take care of guys? Do you want to use your special abilities and take them out quickly and then leave yourself vulnerable? I don't know. It's just really interesting. I've never seen it done in a gear-gated game like this before, where most games feel like there's one way to play it. This one feels like you have options without just giving you a skill tree. You know what I mean? Like I just decided to go down this path. No, the only upgrades you get are the gear-gated stuff, and how you play the game.
How refreshing.
Right. So I feel like I'm selling Zack on the game a little bit in that respect. But
I think the trailer already did, because you're right. Like it has such a weird, irreverent, almost edgelord quality to it, with the over the top gore, and your main character is wearing a skirt and her panties are flashing all over the place, and the game's key art is just a robot giving you the double birds, flipping you off. Like the game is over the top in a way that looks fun.
I mean, it's intriguing me, and I'm not usually a fan of the genre, but I actually do want to check this out from what I've seen.
It's a lot of fun to play, a lot of fun to watch. The animations look like... Alyssa, you can back me up because you watch them a lot more, but it feels like I'm watching an anime-style gear-gated game. Like a 2D game.
Too, in the trailer.
Yeah. And I'm really intrigued to see where the story's going to go. The build that I have isn't the full game. I've only got access to 3 areas. But from what I'm playing so far, I feel like this one needs to be seen by some people, because there's something special going on here. Just the way the character moves, the way the animations, and I mean the glory kills. At one point, if you time it right, you just pick up a robot and rip it in 2 pieces, right above you, and you just see wires and goo splatter everywhere. It feels awesome. It really does. And it's not even just when the enemy is near death. They have a parry system in here as well, where if you can block the attack at the right time, it automatically gives you that glory kill option. So you can really time your way through this and take them out very, very quickly. But it's not easy. It's not like a typical. I'm so used to ranged combat in gear-gated games where I can shoot from across the room, or get up to a certain spot and angle down and shoot. This is pure melee. You do get a ranged attack, but it's short range, at least for as far as I am. But keep your eye on Cookie Cutter, because it is. I think it's something special, and I really can't wait to see where this game goes.
Yeah, it's another disappointment. It's only on I gotta get a SteamDeck. You're right.
Yeah, dude.
Well,
this one is coming to consoles as well.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised PlayStation would allow it. Flashing panties.
Well, they might censor it. Who knows?
Well, I guess it's as long as it's European or North American made, it's fine.
Is that what it is?
If it's The Last of Us 2 had nudity, but Devil May Cry 5 had to black out its butts.
That's correct.
With lens flares, I remember that.
Yeah. So only if it's Japanese do they seem to care.
Apparently,
it's very weird. But Nintendo, we'll always have Nintendo, the horniest company alive. Somehow snuck in there being real horny.
Well, branching off from that weird train of thought, Zack, you've played or have been playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. I can't speak. And I know you were a fan of the campaigns of the previous 2. How'd you feel about this campaign? Because I know it was divisive.
Yes, I'm only here to discuss the campaign because
not the multiplayer.
I don't engage with the chicanery that goes online. First of all, I need to talk about how this game installs. Okay, I know it's a weird topic.
Okay,
but first of all, you put in the disc, and it's a huge download, and it asks you what you want to download. It's like, do you want the campaign stuff? Do you want the multiplayer stuff? I only click the campaign, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's 160 gigabyte download for that.
Just for the campaign?
Just for the campaign. And then I get into the game. It's like, you actually need to install about 30 gigs more worth of content if you want to access this. And then, so then I have to do that. But then, of course, I just have to keep deleting stuff to make this game run at all. And then when you finally get into the menus, after you get down all these patches and updates and installs, then you have to install the campaign from within the menu, and you can't leave the game while it installs.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
So you just have to sit there, and it took like half an hour to install. Patently absurd.
Why can't you leave it and go do something else while it installs? I don't understand.
I mean, I watched a TV show because, well, at first I tried to play not another game, but I tried to like mess around on my PlayStation. I was looking in the store and stuff, and it wouldn't install further at all. So I just had to sit there in the menu.
That is redonkulous.
It is.
It was insane. So yeah, so that all sucked, and then it was like 160 gigabytes for a campaign.
Yeah, that.
Are you out of your mind for a?
Like, we're just gonna take up your whole console
for a, by the way, 3-hour campaign.
Okay,
3-hour campaign.
I beat this game in 3 hours.
Wow. Play on normal difficulty, I assume.
Of course, yeah. And then and you know how how it was reported that this was originally DLC. They don't even hide that. Like the trophy list is just a DLC list.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean it's a DLC list?
Like it has no platinum trophy, and to look at the trophies for Modern Warfare 3, you have to click on Modern Warfare 2, and then it has a drop-down list for the Modern Warfare 3 trophies.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're not even hiding it on PS5.
Well, at least the campaign is good, right? If it's 160 gigs, it must look gorgeous. And
oh, it sure does look gorgeous. It sucks. This campaign is really not good at all.
Disappointment.
Which is terrible because I thought the Modern Warfare 1 and 2 reboot campaigns were great.
I remember you loved those.
Just a bunch of fun, and Task Force 141. I guess I've been rolling with these characters since 2007, right at this point. So, I feel somewhat connected. But this campaign is terrible. Like the opening mission is really great. You're like infiltrating this Russian prison and to break somebody out, and it sets the stakes really nicely. Makarov, the big bad of the Modern Warfare trilogy is here. He's kind of lame. I don't know, the actor they picked to play him, like I don't want to sound mean, but the actor they picked to play this Russian missionary looks like the kind of guy who would get stuffed into the locker at school. So it's just, and I don't I don't want to judge somebody on appearance, but it really is like all the dudes around him look so much more intimidating. I'm like, well, surely he must be some kind of mastermind to like rally these troops behind him, but they just act like he's the manliest of men. It's a very, I don't know. It was very jarring. But then the campaign, it opens with this, cool singing in the prison moment. It's like, all right, Modern Warfare. I was like, dude, what are these people talking about online? They're out of their mind. And then the very next mission is, they call them weapons free or combat zones, or I can't remember what they call them. But it's basically, you get dropped into a map with no stuff, and sometimes you parachute in like a battle royale in some of them. Then you're running around what is basically a battle royale map, picking up supply crates to find weapons.
Oh no.
And it's just like, dude, you just repurposed parts of your Warzone map like to make a campaign.
Get this battle royale out of my single player campaign.
Dude, it's insane. Like you can freely hop into vehicles you come across like you can in Fortnite. Even though the sections that you're in are so tiny that you would never need a vehicle anyway. But you have to run around and like find your supply crates, and every time you do, it has a big pop-up on your menu telling you which weapon you just unlocked. Like you're on a freaking multiplayer map. It's ridiculous. And it's so bad.
Do they like give a story reason as to why you're doing this?
They do, but like it's like, we supply dropped a bunch of crates on the ground. You'll have to find your weaponry as you go along. I'm like, why would I do? What do you? We're a heavily outfitted military organization.
Why would you make me work for it?
Yeah.
The first one makes sense because it's like after a bombing, so she like loses all of her weapons, I guess, in the bomb. But luckily, they had put supply crates in there beforehand just in case. Apparently,
Oh yeah, that handy mechanism. Yep.
yeah, it utterly ridiculous. But it also removes any ability for the set piece moments that you love Call of Duty for, because they can't account for where you are or what you're doing or whatever, because you're in these sort of open maps. But then also, like it seems like they want you to play it stealthily. But pro tip, if you just shoot everybody, it's so much easier. Because like it sounds the alarms and enemies keep coming after you, but you can just run to the objective, hit the button, and run to the next one. Like there's no incentive to engage with the enemies.
No incentive to even, so you can just run without shooting them?
Yeah, I beat a whole map when I was priced defusing these bombs or something like that. I didn't, or destroying these helicopters. I don't think I killed a single enemy. I just ran up to the helicopters, threw on a piece of C4, blew it up, and ran to the next helicopter.
Wow.
I was like, well, yeah, the enemies aren't posing any real threats, so why would I care? And even if I did take the time to kill them, the alarm just sends in more anyway, so there's no benefit to engaging in the enemies at all.
That's a real bummer, man, because I keep hearing people complain about it online, and I was hoping it was just people being, snarky, I don't know, or just being whiny. But it sounds like everything is founded. Like, this should not have been a $70 game. No,
it absolutely, because I know they have like the Modern Warfare 2 had like co-op mission packs they would add every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is. This is what this feels like. There's the occasional cutscene, but it's mostly radio chatter and stuff. It feels very cheaply made. The story does not have any sort of beginning, middle, and end. Like it's just stop Makarov, and then you don't do that, and then the credits roll.
You don't do that?
You do not do it. It ends where a first act would normally end.
Wow.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Like it opens with Price hating Makarov, but I don't know why. I play the other two Modern Warfares. I have no idea what their history is, but they hate each other, I guess. There's like one flashback that I thought was going to explain it, but then they don't. He hates him there already too. I'm like, I don't know. Like it looks like this is a defining moment for Price's life, but they never tell you why.
It's just hate from first sight.
It's so weird.
Wow. I feel like I would take another advanced warfare over this at this point.
Well, that's the most frustrating part is like where the game ends 3 hours in is like, you're like, oh, okay. So now we know what we're fighting for. Like, a small twist occurs and let's go after Makarov, and then the credits roll instead.
So maybe DLC is coming that's going to give you the second half of the story?
Wow. Yeah, what a thrill that would be. I'm sure that's the plan because it all lives now in this Call of Duty hub when you log on. When you boot up your Modern Warfare 3 disc, one of the first things you see is Call of Duty Warzone and asking you if you want to play that. Because it's all one hub now.
I was going to say, I feel like it did that with Modern Warfare 2.
I don't think it did it?
It did for me. I mean, I played it off a disc, but
so did I. But I also played it at launch, so maybe it evolved into that.
Maybe I don't.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, the funniest thing about whenever you boot up Modern Warfare 3 is the first thing you see is a banner ad asking you if you want to buy Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3.
When you already have the game.
Every time you boot it up,
you're playing the game.
Pretty hilarious.
Like, do you want to buy a second copy?
So you're just more or less having access to, like you said, like this hub, no matter what game you're playing it from. And rather than like looking at the disc and seeing what you have, they're just assuming that you're playing an older game, and just in case.
Or something. Yeah.
Or maybe somebody's going to be dumb and just go buy it, even though they've got the disc installed.
So say they want you to buy the digital version?
Yeah.
Because you kind of have to hunt to find the campaign in this menu as well.
That's what I feel like I had to do it too. It took me a while.
I remember that. But this is because I'm also digging through the menus of Modern Warfare 2 and Call of Duty Warzone and was it some Black Ops Cold War game. I was like, where the hell is the campaign at?
It's just nuts, man. That's a bummer. I was really hoping that people were just complaining.
Yeah.
No, I don't even think it's worth really checking out at all. My favorite part is there's a character who died in a previous Modern Warfare who's just alive and casually there in Modern Warfare 3. And I was like, what? I played both campaigns, man. Your death was a big deal. But I guess he just came back to life in one of the co-op DLC mission packs. I was like, this is a
What?
really weird way to do your
Is
story.
it? I'm assuming it's not explained.
Not in this
Why-
game. I had
okay.
to look it up. But there's not even like a character who maybe hadn't seen him again. It's like, oh, I thought you were dead. Oh yeah, blah 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 incident. There's none of that. No, like they expect you to play the co-op DLC, I guess.
That's a little presumptuous.
I thought that was a little weird, right?
It's very weird. The whole thing
Yeah.
sounds weird. I mean, just the
Yeah,
fact that you said that the trophies are like underneath the Modern
that's-
Warfare 2, that just feels gross.
It feels very telling. I'm sure their excuse is like, well, it's because everything lives in the Call of Duty hub now. I'm like, well, why wouldn't that be its own trophy list then?
Right.
Why would Modern Warfare 2 be the beginning of your hub?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so this is a strong pass, which sucks because you know how much I love those other campaigns. Call of Duty campaigns are supposed to just be easy fun.
Apparently 3s are not where it's at, because remember, wasn't it the last one that was a 3 was not good? Wasn't it Modern Warfare 3?
The last Modern Warfare 3 also dropped
Yeah.
the ball, yeah.
I remember hitting a glitch so bad at the beginning of that game that I just never even continued. I was just like, I'm done. Like, it takes a lot for me to yeet a game that quickly.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what I did. Yes, I just said yeet.
Getting hip
And-
with the kids.
I will say the handful of linear traditional Call of Duty missions were better, but none of them have the set piece bombast moments that you kind of come to these games for.
Man, that's just too bad.
They're just kind of linear shooting corridors, which is fun because I do think Call of Duty shooting is fun. But,
I agree.
But it's just they're also just short-lived. The whole campaign is so short-lived.
Easily forgettable.
Yes, I will forget this by this time tomorrow probably.
Wiped from memory.
All right, I got one other game to share with you guys. Mark Szymanski from our community stopped by to review a game for us that he's playing called Howl, and we're going to play that for you right now. I am here with community member Mark Szymanski. Mark, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Scott?
I'm doing okay. If you guys don't recognize Mark's name or voice, he was on a Patreon episode, one of our Desert Island episodes, but this is the first time he's actually reviewed a game for us, so welcome to the team, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thankful for the opportunity.
Absolutely. You have reviewed a game for us on Switch called Howl.
Mm-hmm.
I knew very little about this game until I got the press release on it. And I want you to tell the people about it because the thing that stood out to me the most in this trailer is the art style. And can you let everybody know exactly what makes the art style of this game so impressive?
It's so impressive because it's... I don't know if this is true, but it to me, it's clearly hand-drawn, which tells me, it gives me that impression that there's personal love and personal care being put into every single frame and every single map, every level. The reactions of the enemies, the surroundings, everything is done very, and I wouldn't say intricately because it is a very basic art style, but the clear care put into it is worthy of mention and really kept me engrossed in the game every single turn just to see what was coming next, what the enemies would be drawn like, the surroundings. When you get to a couple of the villages, the way they draw the houses, it struck a chord with me, and I loved every moment of it.
I didn't even play the game, and the trailer struck a chord with me because it looks like you're reading a parchment, for lack of a better way to describe it. It looks like you were looking at a parchment that has come to life, and everything on this parchment is animated, is moving, and it's very unique, and it feels like it's something that I've not seen before. But the gameplay, I want you to tell everybody about that too, because this reminds me of like those sliding puzzle games, where you're just moving on like a two-dimensional plane, but looks like there's some strategy involved in this too. But can you explain it to everybody?
Yes, definitely strategy involved. So each round that you have, and each map, you are given a certain amount of rounds that you are supposed to complete the map in. So each round you can take a certain set of moves. You can move in a direction. You can shoot an arrow. You can use almost like a pushback, a psychic ability to push the enemy back. And then you can also just wait. And what that does is that will allow the enemy to move into a different square that might make reacting your next move in the next round a little bit easier to handle and get through the map sooner.
It sounds more like a puzzle game.
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
and it's turn-based as well. So one of the similar games that was told when I looked it up, the tactical turn-based style of gameplay was XCOM, and I didn't care much for XCOM, so I was immediately put on a bad note for that one. But when I got into it, I realized that it wasn't quite the same, other than you are taking turns and you are watching and reacting to what the enemies do in response to your moves as well.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that missed the XCOM love. I've tried so hard to get into that game. It's not just me. But it looks really interesting. Does it ever get incredibly difficult? Because I've played some of these, for lack of a better term, sliding puzzle games before. And some of them are just so difficult, I feel like I'm racking my brain to get through them. Are you finding it difficult, or was it relatively easy to work through?
There were moments, and maybe it was self-induced moments because I was tired. I reached out to you on a Friday night, actually, and I said, I'm having a little trouble with this one, but I'm going to come back to it tomorrow and try again with fresh eyes. And those fresh eyes made all the difference. So you need to think. You need to think out your moves. You need to remember the opportunities that are available to you with the upgrades and the weapons that you can get and the moves that you can get later into the game. And when I remembered some of those items and how I could upgrade things, I would go back to the maps that I had trouble with, and I would get through them much quicker, much easier.
Mm-hmm. So is there any kind of story going on here? I couldn't really gather what was going on in the trailer.
Okay, so the story is you are a prophet, and you had mentioned the parchment style art style. That you're basically the prophet drawing these activities, drawing your character as it goes from spot to spot and battling with the enemies. You are in a medieval time, which is how you are a prophet, I suppose. And then the entire area has been taken over by a curse called the Howl. End credits right there. You got the name. But you can. What has happened is these creatures, they howl, and anybody that can hear the howl will turn into one of these wolf-like creatures, and then they can also howl and turn anybody else into the wolf. So at this point, everybody in this village, with a couple of exceptions of survivors, I'm air quoting that for the podcast listeners, but survivors are still there, but they're few and far between. But you have survived and made it through this because you are deaf. You cannot hear the howl, therefore you will never transform into one of the wolves. So
that's really clever.
Yes. And in the meantime, your brother has, I'm assuming, heard the howl. I don't recall them going into detail about where he has gone or if he turned into one, but he is gone. He has disappeared, and you are also trying to find your brother and perhaps save him.
Oh, this sounds like a hidden gem of the year. Is this a game you're recommending people check out, or how'd you like it?
Oh, without a doubt. It's easily going to make my top 10 for the year. I know we're coming up on that, so it'll be there. Had you asked me that Friday night, probably not, but when I got back to it Saturday morning and just kept diving into it and getting farther and further and having so much fun with it, oh yeah, absolutely. Highly recommended. The art style, the gameplay, the opportunity to make it more difficult. It had its difficult moments, don't get me wrong. Even after I've remembered, oh yes, I have these upgrades. I can do these other weapons. There's other ways to beat this map. There was still a challenge to it.
Right.
So trying again, going back, powering up, all great options. But in the end, it was so much fun to play, and I was so thrilled that this was my first foray into doing one of these reviews for the podcast.
That's awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for checking it out. Again, that game is called Howl. You're playing it on Nintendo Switch. I believe it's available on other platforms.
Yep, PC now, and then the other platforms in January.
Very good. Awesome, man. How long did it take you to get through it?
About 3 hours, maybe 4.
Oh, nice.
And then I put in the article or in the review, but if you turn off the assist mode, it makes it remarkably more difficult. Probably would have been 10 to 12 for me.
Gotcha. All right, Mark. Well, thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate you taking the time to review this game.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Anytime.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
Sure will.
Thanks again, Mark. Do appreciate it. Want to remind everybody, if you'd like to follow the Gaming Outsider, you can do so at our Facebook group, The GoCast, or on our Discord server, which is the link for that in the show notes. And you can also listen to our podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you're listening to it, so you obviously listen to it on a platform. But if you get a chance, drop us a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps us get the word out there. And lastly, you can check out our website, thegamingoutsider.com. You can listen to all of our episodes directly from there and read our written content, including some reviews that posted this week. Alyssa's review of Gods of the Twilight is up. Mark's review of Howl, you just heard him talk about that a second ago. My reviews of Super Mario Wonder and Super Mario RPG are also on the site, as well as Rel's review of Ask Libra Revision, which is a game that I have added to my backlog. Let's be honest, it's not going to happen this year, but I really want to play that game. It sounds awesome. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. So last week, these guys and gal discussed the Game Awards and what games were nominated for each category. And as expected, the internet exploded with complaints about how Jeff Keighley runs the award show. So I thought it'd be a good time for us to share what we would do if we were in charge of the award ceremony. So do you guys ever see, the Game Awards becoming as prestigious or fancy as the Oscars or like the Golden Globes? Do you ever? I feel like those are taken so seriously because they've been around for so long. Do you ever see the Game Awards having that level of notoriety?
Not well. Okay, I like Jeff Keighley. He seems like a great guy, but not while Jeff Keighley's in charge. He comes from the Spike, VGA era, which was basically just the MTV Movie Awards of video games, and that's what this feels like to me every year. It feels like the MTV Movie Awards. You're not coming here for this serious, prestigious honors to me. Part of that, it's kind of hard. I think like the name The Game Awards just sounds like a teenager thing to me. Like
we need to call them the Keighleys or something.
I mean, the Keighleys is not terrible, quite honestly. I don't mind that, but I just think it's hard. I feel like it's hard for the most prestigious award in the industry to be the Game Award. Just sounds a little, just sounds a little silly. I didn't watch them last year, but I'm going to watch them again this year, and they can be fun, but they also don't put the focus on the right things for it to ever be prestigious.
Mm-hmm.
The focus is on the reveals.
Yeah, it doesn't feel even so much about the awards themselves. It feels more, which, to be fair, that is a big reason why I want to watch it. Because it's become that. It's become a thing where it's all about, it's another venue to make game announcements. We don't have E3 and stuff anymore. We've got these types of events to look forward to, and the Game Awards just happens to be the one in December that does that.
Yeah, and I think Jeff has an uphill battle. I call him Jeff because we're close. Has an uphill battle because you're never going to make everybody happy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I guess I'll get into it when I talk about what I'll do differently. But I think there are opportunities to make it a little more prestigious or interesting. But in its current format, the way it's going, especially the way he's shoehorning in more and more of Hollywood every year, it's a huge complaint from me that you can't, because you're not taking your own industry seriously because you think you need to have guests from other industries to prop it up.
Like, could you imagine there being like people from the video game industry showing up at the Oscars?
No one would know who they are.
Was it like you have like Yuji Naka show up to give the best picture nominee? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Hideo Kojima, I'm here to give away the best score award. Like, what does he have to do with that? Nothing. Like when Al Pacino showed up last year, I'm like, what the hell is he doing here?
I heard you guys talking about that.
He didn't even know what he was doing there.
I don't even remember what was that for. There was no tie in
nothing.
Anything, right?
He was just there. Yeah. He was just like, my grandson likes video games.
He's like, yeah, I used to think voice acting wasn't real work, but I guess it is. Surprise on me. Anyway, see ya.
So weird.
But it's just because Jeff Keighley wants to meet Al Pacino. That's the only reason it makes any sense.
Or I think it's more than that. I think that in his mind, he's giving it more legitimacy by getting people that are recognizable to be. He wants people that are into Hollywood to get their eyes on the Game Awards, and I don't think that's the right course of action.
But you already have so many eyes because of the reveals. He's going the wrong avenue if he wants to legitimize it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's actually delegitimizing the industry.
I'm kind of with you. What do you think, Alyssa?
I'm thinking along the same lines. Like, again, I don't have a problem with Jeff Keighley or anything like that, but I feel like he's getting these celebrities to come on I don't know if he's thinking it'll make it seem more prestigious or if he's trying to attract people that aren't gamers to watch just so they can see perhaps their favorite celebrity on screen presenting an award or whatever.
Yeah, I would care about the Game Awards so much more if Liam Neeson showed up.
Oh, yeah. But I just don't think it... as it is, I don't think it could be as prestigious as, say, the Oscars, the Golden Globes, Emmys, things of that nature. Because even the award categories themselves, even though, they don't take precedence really in this show, they're very, I guess, generic. Best RPG, best action game. Whereas with these other shows, they go into deeper categories.
Oh,
that
Alyssa,
maybe...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. Please continue.
No, what were you gonna say?
No, that's a great point I had never thought of. You don't go to the Oscars or the Emmys for best horror show.
Yeah.
I guess they have best comedy and best drama, but they don't get as into the weeds as we do over who are in the games industry.
Yeah, like at the Game Awards, they don't, to my knowledge, they don't have like best soundtrack or, let's say, best director of photography.
They do. They don't have those. They do have best soundtrack, right?
Do they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
best original
I
score.
rescind that one.
Because remember that the Oscars, they always have like 5 or 6 performances of
they do that. Yeah,
music from that were award categories that year. So yeah, I remember that.
Okay,
for sure.
They do have that, but they don't have like best director of photography or let's say
best level design.
Yeah, best level design, best coder.
No, most thoughtful puzzle of the year.
Is that really a category?
No, I say
no. We're just talking about categories that don't exist.
Oh,
it'd be an opportunity for a different kind of designer to get an award.
But
yeah,
to me that's also more interesting than I don't know.
They have best esports team.
I was gonna say, you can't be a prestigious award ceremony if you have best esports coach as a category.
I mean, I agree with you, but I also acknowledge that I am not part of the esports community. Like, the esports does nothing for me.
Nor am I, but it'll be like the Oscars having a best nutritionist category.
Yeah.
Best on-set catering.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh man, don't give them ideas. So yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I don't feel like it's going to be taken that seriously because I still think it's an uphill battle for people to take video games seriously. I mean, how many people are still arguing on the internet as to whether or not video games are art? I just cannot wrap my head around it. I want to look at those people and say, just admit you don't like video games. That's completely fine. You don't have to like video games, but that does not mean it's not art. There's literally art design that goes into it. There's literally writing that goes into it. There's voice work. There's so many components of art that go into it. You're just being stubborn if you say it's not art. So I think that is part of the uphill battle. But like you said, there's so many things that they do at this awards show that make it feel gimmicky and make it feel childish. I can't remember. What was it? A couple years ago, we had the Gillette Man,
right? Or the Elden Ring pot.
The Elden Ring pot was so silly and goofy. Like, you want video games to be taken seriously. Stop making these childish, goofy things. It's one thing to do those at like an E3 press event where it's nothing but gamers. So then, like the Game Awards, you have the potential for people who are not gamers to look at it and say, hey, maybe I should get into this. You know what I mean? And I also feel like people that watch the Oscars are, cinephiles, that they pay attention to these different things that go on in different parts of it. I feel like part of the problem with the Game Awards is the audience itself, and that's including me. Is that I feel like most people aren't interested in the nitty gritty of what makes games like you and me and you are. The three of us are. And we like taking a deep dive and picking apart the writing and the art style and the sound design and all these different pieces of it. I feel like people that are gamers mostly just want to know if it's fun to play and if they can have a good time with their friends. You know what I mean? So I think it's a combination of what Zack said. That's got to be somebody different that's not obsessed with Hollywood. What Alyssa said as well, and also the audience has to grow up a little bit too. I'm sorry to say that, but I feel like Jeff is appealing to gamers and what gamers want, like the overall masses of gamers want. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm dancing around saying like what I want in this by saying what I don't want in it. So let's just jump right into it. What would you guys do if it were up to you to organize the Game Awards? What would you do differently from what Keely's been doing?
I think I would include categories, like best writer, best coder, whatever, just so these people get more recognition.
Why is that not in a category?
Yeah.
Best writing? Is that not a category?
They have best story, right?
Yeah.
Do they?
But I'm just talking about like recognizing like an individual or a group of individuals for like specifically for crafting this narrative.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a great point. Instead of nominating Alan Wake 2, you nominate Sam Lake for Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
Right.
I think having more of those categories, cutting down on the goofiness. I'm like, sure, it's okay to have a little bit of goofiness, but I mean, last year we had Crash Bandicoot rappelling down from the ceiling. I don't think we really need Crash Bandicoot rappelling down from the ceiling in our award show.
It really does feel like E3.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not what I want from an award show. I want that stuff at E3 or whatever the future of June is going to be. You know what I mean? That's where I want that kind of stuff. That kind of fun stuff that is just for the gamers that are watching. But I feel like in order to be prestigious or to be taken seriously, these kind of things need to have an element of humor, but it's not overtly so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to appeal to everybody, not just the goofy parts of it.
Yeah. Like, I think it's fine that they have, the performances for songs from, the games with the best soundtracks. Like, I think that's fine.
That makes sense.
Mean, not everyone's gonna, want to tune into that, but they don't tune into that with the Oscars either. I think the awards need to be a little more, in the, trying to think of the word, the forefront. Instead, we know we love seeing the trailers, like we watch it for the trailers, but if it's going to be an award show, you would think the awards would take precedence over anything else. Which
I feel like, the years I've watched the Oscars, I feel like the awards are the primary focus.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing any reveals, right? That's not any part of the Oscars.
Yeah, they're not doing movie reveals or anything.
Maybe in the commercials, right? But
yeah, the commercials, but not in the actual award show.
But their ratings are also plummeting, so maybe they need to put in some reveals. Yeah. Tune into the Oscars this year to see a trailer for Mandalorian Season 4.
Well, I think that the Oscars are dwindling because people are tired of, they want to hear acceptance speeches without things turning political. And that's just become such the norm that I think people are like, yeah, whatever. I'll just catch the highlights if anything interesting happens the next day and see who slaps who this year.
You don't want to be preached to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you think about when Richard Gere was calling attention to China, the bad things with Tibet, right, where they're trying to annex Tibet, and then he doesn't get work for years and gets booed off the stage. But now that's just the norm,
right?
Yeah.
Well, it was weird. Also, a bold strategy, Cotton, for him to do at that point. You know what I mean? It wasn't. Now it's almost expected, right? Or people are almost pressured.
Marlon Brando had that Native American woman go up there to accept on his behalf.
Oh, I didn't remember
the atrocities. That. Yeah, to talk about the atrocities that have been committed against their people, and then he got they were booing and throwing stuff at the stage for her. Wow. But now again, that's just standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we just have people that want to praise our Lord and Savior Bill Clinton.
Oh yes, right.
Yeah,
and show us GTA. Bill Clinton wants the GTA 6 trailer, right? Isn't that what it was?
What's he gonna do to stop that this year? Like how does that happen twice in a row?
Dude, yeah, the security is terrible. Apparently.
Yeah, they need to beef up security.
I don't know. I thought that first kid was pretty funny though, because he actually waited. He went up there and just acted like he's one of the crew.
And they're all just like, good. Is this guy with us?
You're right, yeah. Amazing.
It's just bizarre. What about you, Zach? What would you do?
Oh, a lot of things. Well, first off, no more Hollywood. It's gone. Out of here. I don't want to see anything to do with it. I understand if a Hollywood-style actor is in a video game and they get nominated, that's to be expected, I guess. If Idris Elba wants to show up to get an award, good on him. But this best adaptation category, this weird thing where he keeps where the Game Awards keep ending with like a celebrity cameo from Keanu Reeves or Vin Diesel talking about some video game tie-in that looks like trash. None of that. That's gone. And because we know the trailers are what everyone's here for, I don't think there's any getting rid of those.
Mhm.
You know, so that's just how it is. But because I know there's that captive audience only there for the award or for the trailers, that means I can put more focus on the awards, right? Because I know you're here and you're locked in already. So I'm not doing any of the goofy Crash Bandicoot rappelling from the ceiling, because instead I'm going to let the developer speak actually on their acceptance speech instead of playing the music 30 seconds after they get up there. I'm going to give them the time to talk and accept. And I'm not. I would absolutely never do that insulting thing they do at the Game Awards where they just run down 5 award categories super quick on the side.
Oh yeah.
That I think that's so. You might as well spit in their face. I think
it's disrespectful.
Why have the category at all if you're not going to allow them to have an award?
Right. Give them their moment.
Yes, and of course I'm sure they get a trophy, but they give them their moment. Absolutely. And yeah, I would get rid of some of these categories. I think the most influential gamer of the year or whatever is a gross category that I've never understood.
Why are we praising the people that are consuming the product?
Why are we just having a popularity contest in the middle of the Game Awards?
Yeah, that's a really good way to say it.
It's very strange. And then all that stuff's goofy. And I know the esports are popular, but those people, no, I don't think anybody's watching to see the esports awards. Personally, I could be wrong. I'm not in that world. I know 6 million people watched the League of Legends finals a few weeks ago. That's not substantial, but I don't know if there's a lot of crossover between the esports consumer and the I need to watch this awards ceremony to see my esports coach get nominated. I don't know if there's a lot of people that care about both those things.
I mean, it's going to be like one subset of people that root for that team, right? That'd be like having imagine if you had like an NFL Coach of the Year award. Like the only people that are going to be like root for that are the people that root for that team. You know what I mean? It's
right.
It's a very bizarre thing for me.
It is a very strange best acting coach of the year. That would be a weird category. But I would also refine some of the categories. I think you're right. Like best action game and then also best action adventure game looks so silly side by side.
Mm-hmm.
You just use the same word twice. So there'd be some refinements there. And I think I would want to use the opportunity to highlight more specific things like, best level of the year. And then you could have the lead level designer come up and accept with his team or something, or smartest UI design, of the year. Cause UI is such a disaster these days. It's always got those weird cursor menus, so let's highlight the people who actually go above and beyond to make it, smooth gameplay experience for us.
Mm-hmm.
Let's let those people talk. Maybe there's a kid out there that doesn't know they care about UI design until they see somebody talk about it on stage with passion, and you realize like what it does for the gamer and how it goes unsung. And maybe that's an opportunity to highlight that, because again, I don't think it matters what you do on the stage because people are here for the trailers.
I think I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm too.
And the most far-fetched one I think I would do is, because it seems like, I don't know a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, but it almost seems like Jeff Keighley's courting developers and publishers to come to the Game Awards with their trailers. But I would almost want some kind of thing where perhaps you charge them for the spotlight, because the ads plus the trailers I think is egregious, because trailers are advertisements.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting advertised to about DoorDash while I'm also about to watch an ad for Metal Gear Solid 6.
And wasn't there a thing last year where they were getting ready to announce Final Fantasy VII? Do you remember, like, he said something like, and DoorDash gets you...
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Remember that?
Like, don't get excited yet, or whatever.
And then he started in on a pitch on DoorDash, and everyone, like, audibly groaned in the audience.
Yeah, he's like, speaking of Final Fantasy, it doesn't have to be your fantasy to get food delivered tonight. And everyone's like, what the hell?
Right.
Yeah.
And then it wound up being the trailer anyway.
It was later, though, right?
No, it was like 10 seconds later, but it was, yeah.
Imagine if he did that and there wasn't the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, though, Scott?
I mean, you guys covered most of the bases. I mean, my thoughts are more or less a summary of what you guys have already said, in that I think that people need to be recognized more than just the game itself. like you said, so many times these things are, when you watch the Oscars and they say, and here's a list of nominees for best art direction, they don't say the name
Phantom
of the
Thread.
movie.
Yeah.
And
12
then
Years a Slave.
You know what I mean? They say so and so, so and so, and so and so for this movie. So and so, so and so, and so and so for this movie. I feel like we should start name dropping and recognizing these people, even if it's like a developer team name. You know what I mean? And then have that way the developers. Because I know that part of the issue is that a lot of the people that are doing this stuff may not like to be in the spotlight in terms of public speaking and being on stage and in front of all these people. Not everybody is like that, and I understand that. And the stereotype is that people that are keyboard pushers don't like to be recognized that way. But I would like to believe that stereotype is going away. People want to be recognized for their work, even if it's not necessarily on stage. They would like to see their name up there.
Yeah.
Well, it could also be like the lead level designer. You go to him and you're like, "Hey, we're going to put your name in for the nominations." And he's like, I do not want to accept the award." And then you could just give it to somebody else on the level design team, and ask if they want to be nominated, or you nominate the team and then one person speaks. There's got to be one extrovert in every group.
Yeah.
Right. Or you say like, "Hey, we've been nominated. Who wants to go? We can send 3 people."
That's a
and
good
then
point,
and then the company decides which 3 people are going to go, and then what the plan of action is. One person is going to speak, the other 2 are going to stand behind. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I want to see those people up on stage. And if you do have somebody that is outgoing and able to speak on behalf of the team, that he's going to recognize those people, and we start seeing those names and the heartfelt speeches. Like you said, some of these guys don't even guys or girls don't get a chance because there's you literally spend less time with a reveal than you do name dropping 6 or 7 awards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is frustrating and disrespectful, in my opinion.
Yeah, to focus more on the trailers than on. Yeah.
Right. And I feel like, and not to keep comparing things to films, but when you talk about recognizing people for their work, people recognize a movie when it's this feels like a Spielberg movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
This I don't know. This sounds like John Williams music. You know what I mean? People recognize that. They recognize the artist behind it. And we're never going to get to that level in video games if we don't start recognizing artists for what they're doing. And
yeah.
I want these names to be household names in the industry. I want these people that are doing the hard work to be recognized, not just the studio head. Yeah, sure, he or she is producing this and making and in charge of everything, but they're not always doing all the hard work. So I want the people that are making this art to be recognized, not just the game title itself.
Right. Hideo Kojima's not making games alone.
Right.
That's
And
true.
he's the only one that gets recognized, right?
Yes.
And like you said, I don't think we're going to get away from the reveals. World premiere.
Right.
I don't know what the answer to that is. Like, do you like just start with those, or do you do all the awards and then I don't know.
No, I mean, I think the answer is you do have to intersperse them. It's just right, especially for the game. It's just how the audience of the Game Awards has been trained.
Mm-hmm. Maybe not as many.
Yeah, you could definitely do fewer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, save just the big 5 or 6. You know what I mean? And then make it about the awards. I want to hear some conversations with people about why they made this decision and why they are so thankful to get this award. And I want to hear from the people behind it. That's just me. I like Alyssa already mentioned, less goofiness. I would make a more serious tone. And I think this isn't even necessarily just a video game thing. I feel like it's just a society thing. I don't feel like dressing up is as big a deal anymore. Like it's considered like if I was watching NFL on today, the Fox newscasters are dressed in suits, but they're wearing like sneakers, or they're high quality sneakers, whatever. But they're not wearing dress shoes. It's like it doesn't look good anymore.
Yeah, I don't think dressing up is important to people as it used to be, for sure.
And I think that if you want to be legitimate, which I want the Game Awards to be legitimate or whatever better name they're going to come up with in the future. Make it a fancy thing. Make it a thing where you dress for the part. You dress for success, not this like jeans and a blazer with a t-shirt under it thing. I don't know. I just look nice. Maybe that's me being old, but
yes, yeah, I don't think you're going to convince people of that. I understand. It's fun getting dressed up. For one day.
It's one day out of the year. Like, when else do people that work in the profession have to dress up? Do once for the Game Awards. I don't know. But again, you're not going to convince everybody to do that. So those are my thoughts. Let's see what the community thought. Starting over on Facebook, Darren Allen made an interesting point. He said simulator games should have a category because the Construction Simulator 2022 is really good. I have over 200 hours in it. That's a really good point. Lawnmower Simulator, what is it? PC Builder Simulator, Power Wash Simulator. Like it's like we're gonna take all this stuff that we're trying to get away from our work and just put them in a video game.
They have the strategy / simulation category, so you could just break those into two things instead of weirdly shoehorning in two genres that have nothing to do with each other like they do now.
I feel like the simulation would run out of ideas after a while. Like there's only so many things you could...
I don't know, man. Every year we get...
I mean, they come up with new things every year, yeah. So
Gas Attendant Simulator 2024. Like, these things just keep coming.
The number of press releases I got on that game was astounding. Is this like something people are clamoring for? I'm not knocking it. I genuinely don't know. No.
I don't know, man. I don't know the world. I wouldn't have thought Power Wash Simulator would be a big deal.
I mean, I wouldn't have either, but
it's really cathartic, man. It feels good.
I gotta go clean up Croft Manor one of these days.
I know.
Oh, I gotta.
Me too.
The DeLorean is supposed to come soon. I think it's out on PC, but maybe not on. I don't know.
Does the water come out at 88 miles per hour? Is there going to be some kind of concern there?
That and the Final Fantasy VII ones would be really fun to do.
Oh yeah, cleaning up Midgar. I mean, that's what I'm playing this whole trilogy of remakes for. I'm trying to clean up Midgar.
Yeah, right.
Midgar.
Yeah. Anyway,
Sean Coates. I'm going to read
that.
Yeah,
go ahead. Mm-hmm.
He writes in, I look forward to the day when video games are seen as a legitimate art form worthy of a prestigious award ceremony on par with something like the Oscars or the Emmys. The Game Awards as of now is not doing the industry any favors in that regard. I read somewhere that only 16% of last year's ceremony was actually dedicated to awards, while the rest was all fluff and trailer reveals. I understand that is a real reason for having the show and it pays the bills, but I'm saying it doesn't have to be this way. As for the ceremony itself, first of all, I'd get rid of separating categories by genre and instead focus on the individual merits of their respective fields. I'd also get rid of all esports categories, as those are trivial, akin to something like Best Kiss at the Teen Choice Awards. Basically, I take the category template used by Oscars and apply that to wherever the video game equivalent would be. Once again, I'm sorry for the long-winded response, but you guys always pick topics I have a lot to say about. So I guess Sean kind of mostly agrees with us, right? That the categories shouldn't be like Best RPG, Best Action Game. It should be more granular.
Yeah, like more... Yeah. Like I think Alyssa said Best Level Design or Best Achievement in Level Design. That would be a great category.
There you go. Oh, best achievement / trophy of the year. That'd be fun.
That would be a fun one.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
That one might fall under the Best Kiss category that Sean was talking about, though. I don't know.
Maybe, but that's still at least game design rather than esports or best. I don't know,
adaptation.
Best adaptation. Dude, don't get me started. I get mad thinking about it. It's got
imagine if they did that in the Oscars. Best adaptation.
That's what I was saying. Like, imagine, you're watching the Emmys and it was like best Sopranos video game. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about? Ridiculous. They license it from us, guys. This is a win. The fact that they need us, right, is a win.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let that be enough.
You would think. And also, they are. The art form argument's over. The majority of people recognize video games as art. It's just old fuddy-duddies that don't anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Sean Fuller says, for me, it's all about the trailers and reveals, so I'd say they do a great job. The awards themselves don't really mean much, but sometimes it's fun to see a game you love get some praise. Sean, I can appreciate your point of view. I feel the complete opposite, though. I'll admit I do watch it for the game reveals. I feel like from a coverage standpoint, I want to be in the know.
Yeah.
But I would prefer this were like its own thing. And
Yeah, I realize I'm in the minority, but I would be frothing at the mouth of excitement if it was just awards.
Yep, me too.
Me as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we're obviously in the minority.
Which is weird. That's a 3 out of 3 sweep right here. You know what I mean? We would rather just watch nothing but awards.
But we're also people that care enough to do a podcast about video games.
That's true.
Yeah.
We kind of fit the mold there. So, but yeah, I mean, maybe do those reveals as the commercials.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. That's why I was like, charge the publishers to have their game there, because now that you have a huge platform, you could kind of convert it that way, and those would be your ads, and that's how you get your money.
Like, why do we have that and commercial?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Or at the very least, be like, best UI presented by DoorDash or something. I guess that'd be annoying too. But
dude, if they did that at the Oscars, people would riot.
No, that would be annoying as well. But I think that's better than cutting to a trailer reveal and then also to an ad for Taco Bell.
I mean, what if they just put in the bottom right-hand corner in the commercial, like this, this ad brought to you by.
There you go.
Taco Bell.
The reveal trailer for the Wonder Woman game is brought to you by Pizza Hut.
I mean, that would be super easy to make some money too, because then you could have the advertisers insist that be at the bottom of the trailer, even like on YouTube and stuff. You know what I mean? So no matter, even if you didn't watch it live at the Game Awards, you're still seeing it. You know what I mean? It could just be like a bar at the bottom that says this brought to you by Taco Bell with a little logo.
There's gotta be a better way to make money than what they're doing, for sure.
I agree. Alyssa, you want to read the next one from Bill?
Sure. Bill Gardner II writes, "It'll never be what I want. I want it to be more about the people making the games, but it'll always be about the ads more than anything else. It's fun to see the trailers, but it'll never reach the status Jeff wants it to in this format. As far as the actual awards go, they need to have game devs doing the voting instead of the San Fran cabal voting in the most predictable ways and voting in categories they clearly don't play. Hell, do the Eurovision point system. Oh, and get better security so Reverend Bill Clinton's cronies stay off the stage."
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Dude,
he makes Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say he makes a great point that I hadn't thought about before. Yeah, why are movie critics don't vote in awards?
Mm-hmm.
That's also kind of a weird power to give to critics and journalists. And Bill is absolutely right. Like, games media, they hire their friends. They all think the same way.
Right.
There's not a lot of interesting contention there. That's a great point. It might be different if oh boy, it might be different if you actually brought in people with different worldviews, but they only hire one worldview seemingly at every video game media outlet.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're only bringing in people that think like you, of course we can all predict the awards ahead of time. Yeah,
maybe it should be kind of like the SAG Awards, where the actors themselves are voting for best actors. You know what I mean?
I think it's a really good idea.
And do you do it by the developers? That the problem is that developers spend so many hours coding. I can't tell you how many times I've heard an interview with a developer, and they're like, "I'm so glad this game released because I finally have some time to play some games."
Yes, I've heard that too.
You know what I mean? Because they're not going to have time to play all these games on these lists. So how do you expect them to when they're in constant crunch time? I think that's the issue going to come into.
Yeah.
But it is weird that it's just Jeff Keighley's friends voting.
Mm-hmm.
That is weird. Never thought about it, I guess.
I hadn't either. I
hadn't either.
I've never thought about it being a bad thing either until he just made it, but clearly that seems like a bad thing. I'm just always like, oh yeah, critics are gonna be the ones voting.
They let the general public vote, but I mean, it doesn't matter who you vote for because your vote, it's just arbitrary.
I think it's 10% of the swing or something like that,
mm-hmm.
right? And I guess each outlet only gets one vote anyway.
Doesn't even make any sense. So all those people are collectively voting on one,
right? Like IGN gets the vote, not each writer there.
So what? Do they do something internally where they all?
Yeah, it must be right. It must, and it's got to be like, it's like concessions, right? Like, fine, you can vote this for best RPG, but I want best performance to be this. Mm-hmm. It's got to be a weird game of trading back and forth. It's kind of a weird system now that I think about it.
It is.
I don't know how the Eurovision point system works. I've never
watched Eurovision.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
I
But
don't know, Bill makes me even more critical of the Game Awards now.
all right, let's go ahead and move on over to Discord. Zach?
Jacob Gunderson writes in, "This is a huge question. There are so many things left out of what makes games games. Yes, you have music in the game itself, but come on. Best character design, level design, best use of coast, least buggy. Dude, that should be a game that actually works.
Mm-hmm.
Best day one product, best story, largest player base, best online experience, best NPC, greatest player involvement. So much of the games industry is only surface deep. We look at the actors and the gameplay, but there are still ideas that happen behind the scenes that are groundbreaking. The original Assassin's Creed had an idea to allow the character model to raise a foot when standing on uneven ground, and it was such a small detail that left a huge impact that drove designers to allow the models to be more immersive. At some point, Solid Snake ran up every step of staircases rather than just gliding upwards with his walking animation. Maybe some games did this earlier, but maybe better, but it's small changes like these that change and inspire people to add more depth and evolve future games. Unfortunately, there are also the aspects of games that are not recognized when it comes to ceremonies. The parts of games that make the game what it is get left out for more recognizable things. As a gamer, I believe that every aspect of a game should be considered, even if the average player doesn't know or care about the features or subjects." Yeah.
I agree. My problem is if you do an award for, where the winner is, the character's foot is on unlevel ground, is not going to be interesting to a vast audience. To us, it's going to be incredible because we understand.
Well, that's the point we've been saying all along, though. Is like, no, the audience doesn't seem to care anyway, right? They're just here for the trailers. So you may as well make the awards for people like us.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah.
But, yeah. I mean, I don't know how you would quantify these very specific things he's pointing out, but, there are certainly better categories.
How about best new character? I feel like that would be a huge award because everything just feels like not new IPs. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
Sequels or, characters that we've already seen. Let's start incentivizing people to come up with some new stuff. Best new idea, fresh new character. These things are way more interesting to me than, I don't know.
Least annoying video game map.
There you go.
Best skill tree.
No, well, there's a useless category. There's no one's a winner there.
All right, let's see. Paul Hine says, probably with award shows, the problem with award shows is that they need categories that are easily digestible for those not in the know. Like Jacob said, this leaves vast swaths of actual innovation and accomplishment left at the wayside. That's kind of what I was saying, right?
Yeah.
It would be awesome, though I don't think any mainstream award group would be strong enough to make this step, if they would award a game for least day one bugs or smallest day one patch. My personal issue with award shows is that it's not for the people getting the awards, it's for the people who are giving the awards. The self-love is a bit much to handle. Games, movies, TV, it's all the same. I think the way he said that is perfect. It's not for the people getting the awards, it's for the people giving them.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very true.
Right. So you're saying the focus is on the wrong person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been saying that at even at panels at stuff. Like my old team used to make fun of me because I always said that if I were offered to host a panel or be on a panel at a like E3 or something, I would say no. Put somebody there that's making games. I'm not making them. I'm talking about them.
Right. Well, I guess the counter argument is, well, if they don't pick you, they're going to pick somebody else like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stand in solidarity, man.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. I do think Paul and Jacob with these like least day one bug awards. I feel like we should incentivize. We should give an award for your game works at launch.
Yeah.
Or something.
It operates as it should.
Cyberpunk 2077 should be forever banned from award ceremonies because it was so broken it was removed from storefronts. You should no longer be eligible for awards at that point.
Right?
you could have the game could be incredible and people can love it and all that, but you release a product knowing full well you were robbing people at the transaction. Maybe don't give those people an award.
And then so the game came out like the next year and it's now winning awards. Like,
yeah, it would be as though somebody robbed you at gunpoint at the cash register, but then after they were arrested, they came back and gave you 10% of your money back. And you're like, well, here, have a trophy for that, buddy. At least you did something. That's really weird behavior.
That is
It
weird
is.
behavior. It's kind of crazy. All right. Let's see who's up. Alyssa.
Yeah. Jakaizen writes,
Is it
actually,
not
really,
Jakey-san?
I thought it was Jackie-san too. I'm.
Jackie-
is it?
I
Is it
I don't know. You're the one taking
Jackie-san?
Japanese, okay?
Jackie-san?
I don't know now. I'm sorry.
I mean, if
Please,
it's Spanish,
please tell
it
us
would
how
be,
to pronounce your name.
if it's Spanish, it would be Jack and San.
Yeah. Well,
So
I naturally want to say Jackie-san, but
Jackie-san.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Please let us know how to pronounce your name.
yeah.
All right.
I actually really like the Video Game Awards. Been watching since it was on Spike. I'm going to LA for the award show. I know so much of it is cheesy. Many times I can or won't agree with many of the award wins, mainly because I can't or won't play all the games. I like seeing the musical performances. Remember the one by Rick for Doom? Absolutely fantastic. I rewatch that often. I'm usually the more positive when it comes to games and how I feel with them. I'm very rarely negative on them. Not like most of the internet. I hope I get to see and meet some gaming celebs December 7th.
That'd be awesome, dude. Have to let me know how that goes.
I don't know how meeting Sam Lake was.
That'd be really cool.
Would be cool. He had a point that I was gonna.
Let me know which Hollywood celebrity you accidentally ran into because they're all over that place.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He makes an interesting point that like people get upset that the game that they wanted to win doesn't win, when usually that's the one out of the lot that they played. You know what I mean? That's
Mhm.
that's where
Right, yeah.
I mean I'm somewhat guilty of that too because I really like this one game, but I didn't play all the others, so I can't really say it's not the one that won isn't deserving if I didn't play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I don't care what wins as long as somebody, somebody's winning and having a good time. I don't care which game wins.
Yeah.
It's usually the predictable one, and that's just, I guess that's what you expect based on who's voting.
Yeah, now that you're telling me that it's voted all by journalists or 90% by journalists,
Yeah.
it's I mean, I don't know if you guys talked about. I can't remember if you talked about this last week, but I'm pretty sure that's why Hogwarts wasn't nominated for anything.
Well,
Oh, for
that's a
sure.
whole other can of worms, right? Yes, you're absolutely correct. But I never expected it. It doesn't matter that it's the
Yeah,
best
I
game of
mean,
the year and everybody
I
know
knew it
that's played
wasn't going to be nominated
Yeah.
for anything.
Doesn't matter how much everybody who plays it loves it. Irrelevant.
Yeah. Well, I think that is all the comments that we had. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. If you'd like to be part of next week's topic, which is going to be community questions, we're going to be posting it on Facebook, Twitter, Discord, all that good stuff. Please share your questions. We ask everybody for anything video game related. And, sometimes the questions are not so video game related, and we will do our best to answer them. We really would appreciate it. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thanks so much for listening. This episode was produced by Kevin Honigford, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemmage and Metroid Metal. Be sure, if you haven't already, to check out his website, stemagemusic.com, STEMAGE music. Actually, I've been in contact with Grant. He's already marked his calendar for our Game of the Year episode. I am very excited about that. I don't know about you guys. It's going to be awesome. I look forward to that very much. Also, please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Alyssa, any parting words or recommendations to our listeners before we get out of here?
I've been watching this weekly anime, and it's one of the highlights of my week because even though it does deal with some heavier topics, it's funny at the same time, so it makes you feel good. But it's called My New Boss is Goofy, but it deals with this businessman who quit his job abruptly one day because his boss was physically and verbally abusive towards him in the workforce. So he goes to work at another company, and he's terrified his new boss is going to be the same way as his old boss. Like, he's developed stomach ulcers, all this kind of stuff. But his new boss is super sweet. He sees that his employee is in discomfort, gets some stomach medicine, which ends up being period pills. The boss, that's why it's called My New Boss is Goofy. The boss tries his best, but he bought ice cream one time, but instead of putting the ice cream in the freezer, he put his phone in the freezer and left the ice cream on the counter. Like, he's just constantly doing this stuff. He's trying his best to
So he's
support...
Michael Scott.
No. Michael
He's
Scott
trying-
promises
yeah.
kids scholarships and bails on them. That's a little
Yeah.
different.
Scott's
Like-
Tots.
Yes.
Like, he's just trying to be, like, the best boss he can be, but he just keeps messing up, but people love him for that. And then the boss adopts a little kitten that was abandoned by its previous owner, and the kitten is obviously thinking he's gonna abandon him, but then he doesn't. He sticks by the kitten, even though he messes up things with the kitten too, like he washes a toy and it disintegrates, or he gives him too many treats. Like, it's just, the guy is so sweet, but he just messes up all the time, but he's trying his best and everyone loves him for it. And it just really sheds a light on how traumatizing being harassed or abused can be for people. It shows that aspect, but it also shows the goodness of people and how even if you make mistakes, people are going to love you for it, and that there are good people in the world. So it balances those darker themes with the goofier, lighter themes. And yeah, I look forward to watching it every week.
Nice. Zack, how about you?
I've been watching The Curse on, Paramount Plus, but I think it's a Showtime show. A24 TV show, but it's starring Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone and Benny Safdie, who I'm not familiar with, but they put his name all over it. This is the most uncomfortable television show I've ever seen. It is it is like, it makes you feel so awkward. It's about these two rich white people, Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone, who come to a impoverished part of town, and they're trying to help the local residents by basically gentrifying it, but refusing to use the word. They're putting in like fancy coffee shops, but they seem to try to make something good, like it's only going to be staffed by locals and stuff. But then of course the corporation doesn't want that. They want their brand to look the way they want, and a lot of back and forth. But ultimately the show is awkward because there's nobody likable. All the characters are terrible people. But the way the show is shot is like very voyeuristic. It's like you're watching these people and they don't know you're watching them. And like every time they're talking in their kitchen, like the camera is outside of their window looking in at them.
Gotcha.
Or if they're in the car, it's shot through the windshield, but from like a far distance away. It feels like you're not supposed to be viewing this, and all the shots like linger a little too long and a little uncomfortably. And like Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone have a fight at one point, but the things they're saying are so like, you've been there in that fight. You know what I mean? Like, how could you throw that back at me? You promised you wouldn't bring that up, or like, it just, I don't know, it feels a little raw.
And the way you're talking about like it lingers too long, that makes it feel voyeuristic in my mind.
Yes.
In that, like, when you're watching something that's a real conversation and it's uncut, you're going to have those awkward pauses or those awkward moments. That's what is that, am I getting that right?
Yes, yeah, you're absolutely right. Or like, there's a scene where this character is crying. He's like talking to a phone on the friend because he wants someone to hang out with. But you watch him make the phone call and the friend shrugs him off, and then you just like, it's just like 3 straight minutes of watching this man like trying to fight back the tears and then succumbing to crying and then like bawling his eyes out and then trying to like recompose himself, but all just uncut, one lingering shot through his window. And it's just a very uncomfortable feeling.
Wow. But the audio sounds like you're there?
Yeah. So
okay.
like, it's almost like, because they're filming, the crux of it is they're trying to film a reality show in this part of town.
Yeah.
To bring eyes to it. They're trying to sell it to HGTV. So they're filming like a pilot to sell. But it's almost like there's a second reality show watching them without them knowing.
Right. Almost like the rooms are bugged.
Yes, and we're getting to watch it, and it feels very creepy. It really feels like you're not supposed to be seeing this, but you do.
What's it called again?
The Curse.
On what platform?
On Paramount Plus or Showtime.
Man, you might have sold me on that. That sounds super interesting.
Yeah, I want to watch it as well.
It is very, I think it is very compelling. Like, it's one of the things, it's almost like a train wreck kind of thing. Like, you can't look away. And every week I need to know what's going on. Maybe that's the message. Why do I care so much about these people's lives that I'm not even supposed to be watching? I don't know. It's very fascinating. Yeah, if you have Paramount Plus, absolutely check it out.
All right. Sounds interesting. As for me, I know there's a third week in a row we talked about Andy Weir, but I like CB did last week, I finished Project Hail Mary.
I don't know if you heard, he told us he finished it before you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It was very important to him that we know that.
Yeah. But I went ahead and I picked up another book by this author because that's 2 in a row that I just really enjoyed. The Martian and Project Hail Mary, which by the way needs to be a series, not a film. That story needs to be in a series. It's that good. But anyway, I picked up an older book of his called Artemis, which is vastly different from the other two. The other two have like this. I mean, if you've read The Martian or seen the movie The Martian, it's got this tongue-in-cheek humor with hardcore science mixed in it, and this one is a little bit more brazen. It's a little bit more rough around the edges. The main character is very vulgar. She's I wouldn't even call her a badass because she's not much of a fighter. She's just a badass in her attitude. But it takes place on the moon. The moon is colonized at this point, and it deals with like a mafia on the moon, which is a crazy setting for that, and it goes into some interesting places. So it's a real quick listen, 8 or 9 hours. I've still got like 3 or 4 left, so I'm not finished with it. I'm not enjoying it as much as I enjoyed Project Hail Mary, but I'm officially a fan of this author. I just really like his way of doing sci-fi. So, did I say Peter Weir? I meant to say Andy Weir. I think I made that same mistake last time.
I think you said Andy Weir the first time, at least.
Yeah, I think you said Andy Weir.
All right, yeah. So check out his stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna read next because I officially resubscribed for what do you call it? Audible, the monthly thing when I picked up Artemis. So I'm gonna have to come up with something else to read. Although I really thought about going back and re-listening to the BioShock book again, Rapture.
Oh yeah,
because I started the series again on Switch since I picked up the Switch version for like $7, and going back into that first game really makes me want to re-listen to that story because I remember really digging that story quite a bit. So, all right, well that's it, guys. Thanks so much for being here. As usual, until next week. I'm Scott Clark with Zack Parkerson and Alyssa White, and we are the Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.